What is up, everybody? This is Silver Spook, and this is the Silver Spook video about the conclusion of She-Hulk and the entire show. And so, consider, of course, as always, supporting us by checking out the Neofeud video game, any of the games, supporting us on Patreon, direct donations through the StreamYards link, Ko-Fi link, and just liking, sharing the stream, etc. Anyways, and then, of course, we will be talking about this very important topic, which is, yeah, it's right. Well, it's right there. It's how to get smashed, and why exactly is it that, why is it right that most dudes, right? Why is it that most dudes are not getting smashed, but then for some reason that is inexplicable, incomprehensible to all of the anti-She-Hulk people, right, including in the real world as well as in the movie. The Intel, what was the name? I can't remember the name. Intelligentsia. Why are they not getting smashed? And they're very upset. And then they're getting angry, but then also unable to comprehend why exactly they can't. You know, they're that 60 something percent of, it's like 63% of dating app users are men, and they can't find any matches, right? And what is happening? And actually, if you watch the She-Hulk show closely, like, it would actually tell you this. But you know, unfortunately, I'm trying to find my screen chat here. But unfortunately, a lot of people are not paying close attention to the actual show and like what is actually going on and what is being explained in She-Hulk. I mean, just a quick. You haven't seen this show. I do recommend it. It's probably like, I would say, like, of the recent Marvel stuff. You know me, if you know my YouTube videos over the last year and a half or so, I'm not the biggest Marvel fan. But you know, I would say probably, or Disney generally, but it's definitely like in the last of the last several years, probably this is probably one of the best things. I'm trying to think of something else. Peacemaker is not Marvel, so that doesn't count. But you know, She-Hulk is a show that, you know, and I've done at least one video about it, so I'm trying to recap the whole thing. But in She-Hulk, let's see if I can get something that makes sense. Like, a lot of it, it's not, the whole thing is not necessarily it's not a show about relationships and romance and dating. It's not Sex in the City. But you know, in She-Hulk, she goes on like several dates. Like, that's like actually a big part of it. Like, she is you know, She-Hulk is doing a lot of dating actually. She's got you know, this dude, she you know, I forgot the name of that dude. She-Hulk date episode 4. Yeah, that's what it is. You know, she also works with Wong from Doctor Strange, but you know, she goes on at least like 5+ dates in the show, but it's implied that she went through more than that. And you know, she's trying. It's not like there are no women that are looking for in 2022. There's not like there are no women that are looking for relationships, right? They are out there. But then part of a good thing, you know, a thing that you could benefit from, especially like the dudes could benefit from, is if they like paid very, very close attention to like the reasons why, you know, She-Hulk the character chooses to, you know, not be in a relationship. Because it's not, because one thing that people will often say, right, one thing, especially like very upset dudes, and this is the Silver Spook dating advice, relationship advice, romantic advice stream. I'm gonna branch out to other things, but let's start there. Like, you know, one thing that often comes up, you know, especially like Jordan Peterson stands, like people who like consume a lot of Joe Rogan, men's right activist types, but not even that, just average, you know, modern dudes looking for relationships. They'll be like, well, and it's actually brought up in the show, right? Which is that, like, you know, let me see if I can get a picture of those guys, right? Intelligentsia, yeah, intelligentsia, that's what it is, yeah. So the She-Hulk intelligentsia, the talk. And actually, I don't want to spoil it too much, but let's just say they have a big intelligentsia meeting where all these dudes, right, get together. In this show, where is it? Yeah, around this dude, right? And you know, they're they're all getting together talking about how difficult it is for men because of feminism, how difficult it is for men to get relationships, how unfair it is for dudes like this guy, who is a very, this guy's lots of money actually, but how unfair it is that women are not seeing how awesome they are, blah 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 blah. No women will date us. Women are terrible. I hate women. A lot of the incel community, and so like there's this men's rights activist, like men's Gamergate, Jordan Peterson fan club, sort of kind of sausage party. There's like all these dudes get together in this meeting. I'm trying not to spoil it too much, because I want people to watch the show. If you did, in case you didn't see it, and they're all talking about how it's so hard for men specifically, and that She-Hulk has a job that she got unfairly because of nepotism, because she's a woman. She-Hulk slept her way to the top. She slept with the boss, right? I mean, this was like, I remember it, like in Gamergate, this was like so much of that, right? It was like women in game companies are unfairly getting that. Brianna Wu was on one of these people. They all hated Anita Sarkeesian. Women in game companies are having sex with the upper management, and that's why they're getting hired. They don't have this is the narrative that they're constructing in their head. They don't have qualifications. They don't have the skills in programming or art or engineering or whatever it is. Ethics in journalism was the call for of Gamergate. This is like one of the original. I mean, I'm a game developer, so I know this very well. It's one of the original calls for one of the original men's rights activists. They're trying to make sure that quote unquote make sure that the correct person was hired for the job. They actually say that, like all of these lines, right? All this talk, right? All of this this red pill ideology, right? That has a lot of it went straight into Trump, Brexit, Boris Johnson. The global right resurgence in the 2010s was Steve Bannon, and I've talked about this many times, right? But Steve Bannon directly pushed this line of thinking centered around lonely, and Steve Bannon, who was Donald Trump's political advisor, he literally said there are millions of rootless white males who are upset, they're angry, they don't have no point in their life, they have no direction in their life, they're not getting dates, and we can use them as a monster power, right? And that was the and a lot of those people, are the kind of thinking, right? The 4chan, Reddit, the darker sides of those places and those spaces, right? The toxic gaming culture, right? That has been really around forever, but certainly in the last 10, 15 years, even more, right? All of that stuff is in this group. It's like, it is very well captured, right? And even just the reactions to She-Hulk before it was even released. A lot of the She-Hulk show is what's up, Big Teal? A lot of the She-Hulk show is in fact based on, right, the actual responses to She-Hulk from audiences and just the public before the show was released. And so all the hate that She-Hulk gets was written into the show after they released some of the promotional material, like months or a year before the show was even out. And all the naysaying and all the attacking, like, this show is stupid, this show is illogical, this show is bad, right? This show is poorly written, this show is, She-Hulk is how can she be a Hulk? She can't be a Hulk. Well, all this crap, right? That, and all this naysaying, and She-Hulk's character is almost like the writers and the creators of the show, like writing. It's a very meta show where they're like writing about, the show is about the reactions to the show, in its own way. It's although it's not just the reactions to the show. It's really reactions to anything that has women in it. Certainly anything that has women, games, movies, shows, anything. Right. Nerds Club, D&D night. Lots of spaces. Anything that has women in it, and especially when it comes to nerds. When it comes to dude nerds, and then when women are in it, it's just never been it's been ugly, right? And so and so these guys are kind of gathering together, and they're saying things like, well, let's just think. Let me give some of the specific accusations. Yeah. So one of them was, She-Hulk doesn't deserve to be a Hulk because she didn't earn her, like this guy specifically. Right? He says, She-Hulk. And I think she actually dates this guy at one point, right? Like a lot of it, it's actually a lot of the show is dating, right? There's like at least half of the episodes involve She-Hulk and Jen Walters dating one or the other, right? And it's the same person, but sometimes she's dating as She-Hulk, sometimes she's dating as her human lawyer, Jen Walters. Half the show is dating. So it's really like it could be very much a learning experience for a lot of people. I mean, it's going to be a painful learning experience probably when you figure out how shitty you have been and how garbage. But and this is one of the shittier dudes. But their arguments are basically like I'm trying to find like another picture of this dude. Let's see. Yeah. Is it She-Hulk, Intelligentsia, date? So we can get one of that one. Yeah, so I'm not gonna be able to find it. Anyways, so She-Hulk's a lawyer, right? And they're like, she doesn't deserve that job, right? She slept with the boss to get that job. She-Hulk doesn't deserve her super strength, super speed, superpowers. She didn't earn those superpowers. But it's very much like, it's like this is the same stuff, right? I'm saying the gamer, Brianna Wu, right? If you look this up, the accusation, right? And it was all kind of attacks and threats of, all kind of horrible sexualized violence threats were thrown at her. And what she was accused of, I'm trying to figure, Gamergate related harassment. Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact accusation. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. Yeah, but anyways, she was one of the first people in the Gamergate fiasco, we're basically going with a bunch of toxic, upset, horny, but never having sex dude gamers got upset that she advanced her career. And their accusations, like her and several others, was that like she didn't earn her place. She didn't work. She was dating someone in the organization. She was dating the higher ups. She was having sex, blah, blah, blah. She used her feminine while some crap. And then, and it got really, it was huge fiasco. There's like thousands and thousands and thousands of death threats and worse. And it was one of many things that many of these, basically, anyways, so, and the superpower, and so when this character says She-Hulk didn't earn her superpowers, right? I earned the superpower, by having lots of money and paying other people to abuse and beat up and attack and lie. I had to work for the superpowers, right? So, and this guy at one point, like, actually, let's just say, like, he wants the superpowers. He wants to be Hulk, right? He wants to be Hulk, and he's upset that She-Hulk. The thing is, She-Hulk doesn't really want to be Hulk, right? She didn't ask. She's like Adam Jensen. She never asked for this, but she certainly did work to be a lawyer, right? But anyway. So, but the whole point is that, like, this idea that, like, women don't deserve anything. Women are either inherently undeserving of the jobs they have because women are just like genetically like that's Sam Harris, that's Jordan Peterson. the female brain is not capable of performing math and engineering and technological and scientific work at the level of the male brain. This kind of narrative, right? So therefore it must be that the women only have those jobs in STEM, right? That this is Silicon Valley. Like there's a whole fiasco at the company that runs YouTube, let's say, among others, where all the nerds were saying there's too many women in STEM. They can't be in these engineering fields. They must all be hired based on some illegitimate, sexual favors, or some SJW woke diversity hire, right? To sort of pressure, right, from all the green-haired or blue-haired angry women who are demanding they have the job. And so they're only getting the jobs because they demanded they have the job. They're not getting the job because they deserve the job. So anyway, but this narrative, right? But anyways, what the thing about the She-Hulk is that like all that kind of comes out throughout the show. All those kind of fucked up, gross vitriol and curdled, testosterone that has gone nowhere, and now you're 38 years old with the last 15 to 30 years of your life having blue balls, with your crispy socks and your Mountain Dew Code Red drizzling down the side of your Alienware computer, and your anime kitsune body pillows that you with the Ryan Gosling Pikachu guy that you have sex with to cry yourself to sleep because you're still a little boy inside, and then you just get mad and you make death threats, and then you make mass harassment campaigns, and then you try to get the She-Hulk show canceled. So like but this so that's one thing I mean it's and the thing is, but not it's like hashtag not all dudes. Like some people were upset, and by some people I mean obviously toxic dudes were upset that there's no good dudes in this show. Where's that? All the dudes are just made out to be total assholes. It's like Elon Musk. Remember Elon Musk was complaining about Lord of the Rings. I think Elon Musk said all of the men in Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, are either cowards or they're terrible. Like they're all bad. There's no brave, courageous, good men. And number one, that's false. I mean, part of the reason is Elon Musk doesn't count black people and brown people as humans, because there's a black character that is like very self-sacrificing within the first episode, but he just like Elon is a racist piece of crap, so you can't see that. Number one. Number two, there, and also the first one of the early on characters, what's her name? Galadriel's brother is also a very good character. He actually dies in battle fighting valiantly, and he's not spend much time on screen, but this is like patently false. Also the guy kind of looks like Elon, so I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's just upset that Galadriel's brother died so early in the movie. I don't know. But anyways, but this kind of complaint that like there's no good characters, right? But the reality is like, and that's why I brought up Daredevil, is because you probably know about it. I don't know. It's not going to be kept a secret with the internet around. But She-Hulk, actually give me 1 second. I'll be right back because I'm having some audio difficulties. But I will finish that sentence and tell you more about. I'm gonna give you 12 steps to actively getting smashed in a good way. I mean, not getting your head crushed into a million tiny bits. I will give you tips how to have relationships and love and sex for dudes. We'll continue after these brief messages about Neofeud 1, and I'll be right back.
The Illuminati created us. They wanted to build a god with their own hands, and instead they created us.
Just because I'm made of silicone and aluminium, I must be doing something wrong. That's machine stereotyping, that is.
That's reality, that is. Machines are second-class citizens.
Humans are sentient persons by default, ma'am. They have personhood by heredity. There are thousands upon thousands of overqualified slum dwellers. You are my peon. Don't you get it?
This wasn't a job. It was always just an excommunication sentence.
We're pawns in a feud bigger than we can imagine. Turn the cogs of the machine before Leviathan grinds you up and swallows you and yours.
We don't get to choose our hand, comrade. Prince, peon, rich, poor, human, robot.
I invented the crux of the royal's power, the secret to consciousness, our existence itself, the meaning of life.
I'm the $6 billion baller, not some troubled youth.
You are my greatest creation of all.
I had to build my own family. I ain't your son. I ain't your son.
I'm happy to smash all of the crowns and throw the gold shards down to the people. I will be the iconoclast queen.
But who makes you queen anyway? You? You in whose army, princess? You in whose army?
Anyways, so yeah, don't forget Neofeud does support everything that we do here, as well as the sales of that game and other games. All the Patreon support. Consider becoming a patron if you have not yet. Consider how much the streams and the education and or the entertainment is worth to you, and do support us to keep doing those if you have the ability to. Whatever, $1, $3, $5 a month, whatever you can afford. Every bit does help. It really does. Also, direct donations through Ko-Fi, or of course, just subscribing, liking, sharing the streams around, etc. Anyways, so yeah, so I left you on a cliffhanger there. I was really leaving everybody on edge. Hope I didn't leave you to too much blue balls. Because I said I was gonna give you the magic trick to actually have sex and get laid and not being a sad little loser boy for the rest of your life with your centaur kitsune body pillow, right? I mean, I'm no shade. I'm sure she's a very nice inanimate object, but step one, get Daredevil shades. Obviously, that's what I'm trying to illustrate. I'm just kidding. These are just pinhole glasses I need to see properly, but also get Daredevil shades. No, that's actually not going to save you. Don't get a fedora. So anyways, so She-Hulk, how do you get why is it that Daredevil, right? Going back to this dating thing, right? Why is it that Daredevil attracts successfully, courts, and he actually is not really trying very hard. He's not really trying anything. He's just kind of there. And then but She-Hulk is actually chasing Daredevil. She-Hulk is like, I have needs. I have to have more sex with Daredevil, or what's his name? Matt. What's his name? I can remember superheroes' names. I can never remember the non-superhero incognito names. But Matt Murdock, right? Why is it, but so she's not the, Daredevil is the only guy that is not a garbage dude, like actually let me just think. Okay, so you have, this, okay, here, number one, don't be like the intelligentsia leader guy. That guy's a total dickhead, It's not really about what he looks like. It's not really about that. Like he does a lot of sneering. It's more about like the way that he is to women, and and to be clear, there are multiple dudes that look a variety of different ways that She-Hulk is not into. She-Hulk characters. Let me see if we can get the characters. So there's another character, She-Hulk date at wedding. Right? In episode 6, There's a wedding. Let me see if I can get a picture of that guy. And this guy. So this is another one of the. You see how many dates this whole show should tell you. You know, don't. Number one, Silver Spook tip number one, right? Number one, get Daredevil shades. Okay, that's actually tip -1. That doesn't exist. That's fake. Okay, actual Silver Spook 12-step to have normal human relationships and find love and happiness and success in life. Step 1. Shit. I was coming up with too many jokes and I forgot what the step was. Step number 1 is the dating apps. I don't know. I to be honest, I haven't used a lot. I used Match.com like way back in the day, but that was like 20 years ago. It's like 20, maybe 70 years ago, something like that. I'm part vampire. I'm half vampire. I'm like Blade, so I'm that old. But step number 1, get bit by a vampire. No, okay. Step number 1 for real is watch She-Hulk. Okay, pay very close attention. Pay very, 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 very close attention. Okay. Step number 2, is look at all of the characters, right, that she is dating, right? Observe them very closely. Like this guy, this is like a good look. There's different races. There's different sizes of guys. There's different personality types. There's just different body shapes of types. The body shape does not make a whole lot. There's some people have certain body types that are their type. Some people don't. Some people, right? But Jen Walters is not like very strict on that kind of thing. So like the thing that like Holly, talks about a lot, which is that like lots of the nerd dudes that Holly had been around, Holly, my partner, and also the mod, I confirm this because this is something that I actually had this thought as well, which is that a lot of like nerd dude types think that women only want to go out with Chad in the incel, toxic Western dude 4chan Reddit culture, the kind of sexual phrenology, which is that like dudes with combat shaped skulls and that can bench press 20,000 pounds, that look like Mr. Chad from all those Wojak memes. Those are the dudes that women want to go out with, and we are nerd dudes. And a lot of us are fat, or we're weird looking, or we're too tall, or too short, or too whatever. We are like genetically inferior. So you're already in like this fucked up eugenics camp, which is you this is like I'm gonna jump out. You spend too much time in Western academia, you're gonna get brain damage. So anyways, but back into it's like women, a lot of dudes that are like either we're weird, we're nerds, are kind of and some of them that aren't, the jocks too, not necessarily, Joe Rogan fans too, but they're like, women don't want to have sex with us because we're funny looking, we're too big, we're too small, we're not strong enough, we're not fast enough, our cranial measurements are off by 2 millimeters of the caliper or some bullshit, right? That's all I read in the 4chan is just full of that garbage, man. It's like not even once, but it's not necessarily there's something wrong with those internet cyberspace sites. It's like those the Western nerd culture that shows up there, the dude nerd culture that is full up there, right? That's the talk. That's the thing that's causing you all your problems. And so like that culture of like, well, so we should just like men going their own ways, like men going, we're just gonna not date any women. Like in Stranger Things, talk about there's a lot of D&D clubs, there's a tendency to kick the women out and be like, you're not a real nerd, you can't be in our D&D night, you can't come and play video games with us because you're not a real nerd. Or it's the nicer way. Oh, hey, it's like four dudes, and then the girl comes to the game party. Oh, is your boyfriend here? Who did you come with, right? Like I was talking to Lua in the All God POC panel, and Lua said many times, Lua is at least femme presenting person, who's also and she's also black and is also a nerd, and would like show up for like nerd events, and all the dudes would be like, oh, who did you come with, who brought you? And Lou was like, well, actually I brought my partner, I brought my boyfriend. I'm the one who wanted to come. And they're like, oh, obviously no, you're just that's really cute that you're a girl nerd. Obviously you're just making that up. You must be making that up because women are like Stacy, which is like, why is her name Stacy? Like, what is this, fucking 1998? Number two, like what bad retro porn have you been jerking off to on Pornhub in between Shadowrun stints? Like what? So nobody's called Stacy anymore, man. Come on, the word name Stacy doesn't exist anymore. It's like a figment of your imagination. It's like Stacy's mom, man. Jesus Christ, goddamn, son. Anyways, I'm just kidding. There's people still named Stacy, but but this weird kind of alternate reality, right? It's actually it's not. I shouldn't say it's like Al Qaeda, although it is, because incel culture has produced multiple terrorist attacks in which mass murders have been committed. One of them, of course, being the van incel dude who went out and drove over a bunch of women with his van, among others. So it actually is a lot like the way that Al Qaeda and the way that say terrorist cell is formulated, which is a bunch of dudes getting together, withdrawing from society, building their own alternate version of reality, and goading each other on, in their crispy socks, and their stinky ass mattresses in their man cave, to goading each other on to fight and die and kill valiantly for their great cause. Now, of course, Al Qaeda is like, in some of the actual terrorist attacks, it was like to fight the great Satan of the United States. And in the incel case, it was to fight the great terror, the great evil that is feminism, by killing some women, or fight women generally. So it is actually dangerous, and that's like the intelligentsia people, right? Like this guy represent like that actual very dangerous. It's not just terrible for men and women, and bad for people's dating prospects. It's bad for women. Because when men believe this bullshit, it depletes and drains the dating pool for the women who some of women are heterosexual, or some women are attracted to men. Actually, a lot of them, they would like to be in a relationship, but then if all the men become shitty, then all of a sudden, right, you've poisoned the dating pool, and they're like, well, I would like to be with them, but they're all fucked up. It's not even something wrong with like their body necessarily. It's like their mind and what they think, and their view of the world is all messed up, and also they're just like, they believe and act and behave, and who they are is just bad now. So it's not really good for women or men, for men to believe these things, it's not. And so it's like toxic masculinity hurts everybody. So and it blows the world up when it starts nuclear war, or it kills many people when it starts normal, I shouldn't say normal war, just war generally. Needless imperialist war. It's one type of bad one of those. So, and fascism, which is an outgrowth of toxic masculinity with a lot more funding and U.S. backing. So, anyways, so these kind of characters, she like touches with, especially by the end of it, it shows everything. So I recommend watch the whole thing all the way to the end, because then it really brings all of these aspects to what I'm talking about to light in a way that's also funny and interesting to watch. So, but coming back to those nerd dudes, so the conception in the mind of the nerds dudes is that like women don't want to be with us because of something wrong with our physical body, something wrong with like our genetics are wrong. The number of centimeters between my shoulder blades is too much. This is all like the Reddit. I mean, ContraPoints is one of the YouTube creators, somewhere on YouTube, talked about it's like going back and going back and going back to the same very toxic trans hate subreddit to be repeatedly insulted at how badly you are not passing. It's like, how, it's just this is horrible. But that itself is an outgrowth of this dude culture, you know, which is about these tiny, arbitrary but seemingly scientific, right? You see, that's the problem, right? There's, when you study Western science in Western kind of just fucked up barbaric culture, cis-heteronormative patriarchal colonial culture, things pass as science because they have lots of technical details surrounding them, and it makes it sound correct, right? Which is like, if the ratio of the circumference to the diameter of your skull exceeds, this exact percentage, and there's all these exact numbers, it sounds scientific, but this is complete bullshit. That means that you are a criminal, or that means that you are not attractive to women, blah 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 blah. Do you see this weird paradox? And so the nerdier that you get in the West, the more the higher the potential that you could fall prey to these kind of pseudo intellectual toxic ideologies and narratives about reality. It actually explains a lot of why all the worst incel and anti-feminist and a lot of the fascist culture comes straight out of Western nerd culture on internet forums, where it's easy to isolate into a bubble, into a culty echo chamber, right? Away from society, construct an alternate version of what reality is, and then proceed to go out and slaughter 20 women in a college or something because of how evil women are, and how permanently we will never, how absolutely impossible it is for any of us dudes to get laid. So we should just end our lives and kill a bunch of people. That's the kind of stuff. This is very much like what happens with terrorist attacks. I was watching Scottatran intellectual, was it the Second Enlightenment? Oh, there's a video about that. Anyways, so anyway, but back to what I was talking about. So that's number one. So number I forget. I'm on step 2 or 3. I forget. Okay, so step 3 is make sure that you do not isolate yourself into a small bubble of weird nerds. Okay, that's tip. I mean, a lot of this stuff could be avoided if you don't fall into a group like Intelligentsia. I actually have multiple of the game. I mean, at multiple game developers who worked on game. I'm a game developer, of course, right? Like I just showed Neofeud. Multiple of the dudes who worked on Neofeud and or Terminus Machina, my other games, are no longer alive because they fell into these kinds of groups. And that's a very bad outcome. But it's just like even without that, there's lots of other of the game. These are all nerds. They're computer programmers. They were artists. They were just game players, and so they spent a lot of time on these kind of all over the cyberspace, all over forums, all these Reddits and spaces, and these spaces can become they self-reinforce, and when they break off from reality, then you can it just results in horrible things. Anyways. So I think I've already said that. So so try to, be in contact with some other people in the world. I mean, that doesn't mean you have to go. I'm not saying touch grass. I mean, that's a thing. People sometimes just say that. People who are like hyper online say that. That's the thing. They go, just touch grass, but it's like it's really like this is normal Western barbarian culture, which is to accuse other people of what you're doing. It's like you're the person that's been on the internet for the last 26 hours straight telling someone else to get off of it. I mean, if anybody tells someone to get off the internet on fucking Twitter is full of shit. They're just, but I'm not saying don't, I'm not saying don't go outside. That's sometimes it can be good. Of course, people have disabilities and inabilities to go out into big public spaces, especially under continuing COVID pandemic with Omicron, Epsilon, monkey, polio, COVID, hybrid, super death bacteria coming for us. But anyways, so but it's like you don't want to get too stuck in a group and not have contact with people outside of it, because then that's one way that these kind of ideas can get self-reinforced. Anyways, but not exclusively. There's lots of mass disinformation ideas that are everywhere that everyone believes. About lots of things, like Hawaii was a backwards country and had mud huts and no electricity before America colonized. That's mass belief. So it's not like bad, toxic ideology and thinking is exclusive to cults. It's some things are mass, so well understood, and so that's another caveat. But some of this stuff can be avoided by avoiding those kind of situations. Anyways, back to She-Hulk though. So let's go back to the dating thing. So there's dudes who look kind of like this guy. This guy's more is a I shouldn't say handsome, but he doesn't look like this other dude, right? And so that's not, but then there's another dude, she dates other dudes. I mean, Daredevil, he's not like a bad looking dude, but he's not like the best looking dude in the world, he's blind, but he also has, super echolocation or whatever he has, right? But, he does not look like Chad, you know what I'm saying? Let me look. Chad, let me see. He does not look like Mr. Chad Man, right? Which I don't know. I don't think anybody would date somebody whose arm is broken and has 3 fingers. I'm just kidding. You can date, Mickey Mouse after he loses MMA. I'm not saying you can't do that. He doesn't. He's not. Also, like, all this stuff is so weird and distorted. Anyways, like as Holly was pointing out, like, if you are able to see, like, if you can see veins on your arteries, and it looks like, like a map of Los Angeles on your chest, because that's how low body fat percentage. It's actually not very healthy, and you can't sustain that. I mean, it's bodybuilders, like, when they're cutting, right before they go on stage, they're gonna reduce the water in their body, and the fat percentage like so low. But that's not very healthy actually for you. So actually, like, Mr. Uber Chad, it's all nerd shit, right? Where do you see this kind of stuff? Where do you see this kind of stuff? In Twitter spaces, in gamer spaces, in certain parts of the Twitter spaces and social media, not all of it. In Reddit and 4chan, in a lot of gamer discords, in weird nerd, in science and technology subforums and shit. That's where you see this kind of shit. Right? It's actually not scientific though, but it's what passes for science in the Western world, unfortunately. But anyways, but my point is, Daredevil is he's not a super tall guy. He's just like a normal looking dude. I mean, he's in good shape because he has to do a lot of crime fighting, but he's just like a normal looking dude. He doesn't have Mr. Chad Man's hairline. He's not rich. He's not rich. That actually is a major point. Because the other thing is, women only want guys who have millions and millions of dollars, and they want a 10 who is a guy who looks like Mr. Uber Chad, and he has like 25,000-inch biceps, and he can squat a freaking a Chevy Suburban, and he's got an IQ of 300 or some crap, which is a bogus eugenics Nazi metric anyway, IQ. And guys who have, they're CEOs of huge companies and have billions of dollars to their name, like Elon Musk or some shit. Fun fact: most women are terrified and are disgusted by Elon Musk. This guy is disgusting. He's like, most women, like, actually they don't, if they were like absolutely had no other option and they need like a house or something. That's like 50s culture, which was like, take women's capacity to be human beings, remove their ability to have a bank account and gainful employment, period, and basically personhood, and then force them to rely on men to have housing and food and their basic needs met. And then they disgusted and horrifiedly go into marriages with men in America, right? In the 1950s. And it was not paradise. It was not the greatest, the greatest time. Oh, it was the golden age because the working class was so supported. You know, I mean, well, which one? Anyways, the white dudes. But anyways, and what were they supported by? Their Stepford wives and all their black slaves. And, the help. And also the rest of the world being destroyed. But, you know, it's like actually, but you don't have that. As I pointed out previously in previous streams, you don't have that anymore. You don't have a world where, you know, women can be forced to be housewives with the threat of destitution and of homelessness. It's a threat. It's like the coercion. You know this. It's like you're going to be homeless unless you go get a job at Burger King and pay your goddamn rent. You're going to be homeless unless you get a job being the cooker and cleaner and blowjob orifice for some dude, as a, you know, in the 1950s, right? As a woman during Leave It to Beaver time. If you don't marry a guy, you will be homeless. So it's the same kind. It's, you know, and dudes can get this when it's like, oh, my boss. But this is the problem: is you have a lack of empathy because you go like, we have to think about the working class. But what do you mean the work? What do you mean? You mean the white dudes? All right. I mean, no. Well, because when it comes to Starbucks, as a problem, Starbucks jobs, academics, teachers, nurses, apparently all of a sudden they stop being working class, right? Jobs done by disproportionately non-white or non-native people, non-white or quote unquote illegal immigrants. Oh, those are like, that's not really the working class. Those are just like unskilled something or other. Then that's all illegal anyway. So blah 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 blah. And yeah, anyways, I'm off my topic. So, but the point is that like women cannot be forced into that position now. All right. And that's the point I made before. So you better get used to this, or you're going to be horny, lonely, and sad for the rest of your life. Right. And so, you know, they can choose, you know, and like, there's a lot made about boss babe culture and like, why are all these, but, you know, it's like, you know, Megan Thee Stallion, what she represents. And like, you know, whatever you think about Megan Thee Stallion, the difference between Megan Thee Stallion and like a lot of other, the thing why a lot of dudes don't like her, especially Ben Shapiro and those kind of types, right? The Jordan Peterson types, they don't like Megan Thee Stallion and those, is because, you know, Megan Thee Stallion, if, you know, she doesn't like pretend like I'm beautiful so that some dude can make money and pimp me out and basically make money from my body. Like, you know, like Holly and, you know, there's people like, I don't want to go into too much specifics, but like, let's just say like in a lot of the entertainment business, whether that's stage, theater, movies, music, right? There's a lot of women who have worked and, entertainers generally, performers and women who have worked, the casting couch, you know, who have had to basically put up with terrible sexually abusive and financially abusive controlling men who would take control of their business, be their managers, right? Which also includes using that woman as a sex object and getting the money from and the revenue and the power from their entertainment value, right? That and Holly is, you know, Holly and I know some people, and one person in particular who was in one of these abusive relationships, not even in like Hollywood movies, but just like entertaining in a live theater show organization, right? And like, you know, sexually abusive, especially there's a lot of older dudes with younger illegal or nearly illegal or quote unquote barely legal women, right? So 35-year-old guy with an 18-year-old girl, sort of, you know, power differentials, and then abusing that. There's that whole thing, like Leo DiCaprio with his I don't date anyone over 25. Anyways, point. Let me get back to the point, which is that like, and so like, the world in which the men are able to use their male and especially white male, but not just white male, positionality to say, well, I have to run the business, I have to make the money, I have to be in charge of your body physically. I mean, when I want to have sex with it, and also I have to manage your body. You know, even like Big Eyes, right? Remember that show with Amy Adams about the woman painter, and then there's like a talentless real estate hack white man who puts his name on all of her art and makes all the money and all the fame from it, which she's the one painting that shit, right? But it's like, but his argument is like, this is just the way the world is. This is just the way the world is. You have the skills and the talent, and you have the labor. You are the worker. You are the working class. I'm the parasite class, right? As it's her husband. I have to make the money from you because the world doesn't accept anything but white men owning and making money and being the managers of everyone else. So you just gotta let me do it. I'm doing it for your own good because otherwise you don't have no career, right? But that's in a world in which women cannot be in charge of their own businesses and their own bodies. But Megan Thee Stallion, like not just Megan, but like Megan who's in, right? And that's why I did like Megan Thee Stallion twerk. When Megan Thee Stallion shows up in She-Hulk, that's like a whole nother level of thing happening there. Let me see if I can find it in my Silverspook video. Okay, I don't want to get in trouble for putting things at NSFW in the middle of my video, but when Megan Thee Stallion showed up on She-Hulk, right? That was another level. I mean, the whole show is already hated by toxic, shitty dudes. Period. Right? Oh shit! This is like a third video I've done on this. Well, anyways, it's worth it. It is worth it. When Megan Thee Stallion showed up on She-Hulk and did the whole twerking a little bit, it's a tiny little bit. It's like, I think it's like at the end, it's like post credits. It's like post credits snippet of Megan Thee Stallion twerking with She-Hulk. She-Hulk is like now gonna work with Megan Thee Stallion as a client. There's and I made a whole video cry about it, man, children's. But part of what's going on there is that idea that women must be under the management, basically under their labor value and their value as their body, everything has to be owned by the boss that is the man, because that's just how it is, right? Nobody really said, the dudes are not gonna say that out loud exactly what they mean, but it's just like, well, you just know how things are. You just know how it's called sexist, capitalist, patriarchy. That is like how American and Western culture has operated for centuries and millennia, right? That is not how things have to be, however. Like, they're indigenous cultures, many cultures in Africa, and the Pacific, they're non-Western cultures, Pacific, African, indigenous, Turtle Island or America, and Asian cultures that didn't operate that way, right? Not to say every single one always were that way, but it's not the case that women have to be subservient, right? And so so Megan Thee Stallion is very dangerous to men, right? Shit, the toxic ones like Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, and everything, and Elon Musk, because nobody, there's no man who manages her, as far as I know, right? There's no man who manages Megan and he goes, okay, you're gonna take this much money and I'm gonna manage you, and then but the money that you make has to come through me, and then your body, I use that. No, Megan's like, you're not gonna get nothing. You're not gonna have any sex. You better be worth it. I'm not just, and that's part of the show, right? It's written in the shows. There's a guy who is tricked, right? Like I explained previously, who is tricked by a Asgardian shapeshifter who shapeshifts into Megan Thee Stallion, and then this douchebag guy, right, spends $200,000, right, gifting expensive lunches and gold jewelry and cars to who he thinks is Megan Thee Stallion, because he thinks that Megan is into him, right? But the thing is, Megan is not into him. That's not the real Megan Thee Stallion. He's getting grifted by a shape-shifting Asgardian, right? But and then Megan shows up. But so the point is that kind of like and coming back to that story where this abusive, toxic, asshole manager, right, that Holly and I know was abusing, right, in this kind of live performance organization, And Holly's friend was like very, was new then and was at an entry level, but actually was doing she was playing the equivalent of the protagonist, like the star of one of the very, very important shows. She was actually a very important figure, dancing and entertaining and acting in this theater operation, right? And there were other women that were also, and there still are women that are central to that organization. And without those women, right, it'd be like, okay, we're gonna have a Megan Thee Stallion act without Megan. There's no act, right? There's nothing, right? And so it's kind of like, but this older dude who basically did nothing, right? Coming back to like this person that Holly and I know, this older dude, his job was what was his job? What was his job? It's kind of like the Big Eyes guy, right? What was his job exactly? What? To take credit for other people's work? Put his name on it? He didn't do the painting. He didn't do the thousands of hours of gaining the skill of painting and then paint pictures. No, he just showed up, schmoozed at parties, and took credit for women's work. And that's how he made all his money and had his fake career, right? What was this dude doing in the theater operation? He was the recruiter, finding women to have sex with and screw, who were young and pretty, and then take credit and money from the organization, managing them and putting them on stage and going, oh, well, and like actually this dude was like gaslighting and be like, oh, you can't have the official insignia of our organization on your body until I say so, because you're not you are not initiated properly. You have to wait a while for that. It's like a Scientology. It's total cult shatters. It's like 12-step. It's a Scientology, like ascend through the ranks of from entry to up my weird spin-off of the 60s cult shit. It's like not well, everyone's watching Dahmer, so I'm gonna say Manson, but it's a sex abuse and financial abuse cult, right? Like of another type, but it's part of a larger cult called that's not a cult. It's called larger culture called patriarchy that exists everywhere. And so, anyways, so this dude who was saying like, we have to keep doing this, and you have to just keep having sex with me in secret because it would look bad if it was out in public. Anyway, that went on for a long time. The guy abused many people, and he's like, this stuff happens everywhere, right? Everywhere. Corporations, nonprofits, entertainment, gaming, all everywhere. Government, non-government, big, small, all over the place, right? We know this is a patriarchal Western world, and some of the not Western world too, but definitely the Western world, And so the dudes who have been used to that, right? And that guy he was used to that, but then more recently, a lot of people in this organization, right, were like publicly coming out and saying this dude has been terrible, and he's not only has he been terrible, and it's very important that the number one, economic sovereignty is not just about saying you did a bad thing inside the company with no union and no collective threat of economic. See, a union is inside an organization. You can threaten the economic numbers and the economic and benefit. Because you can't really fight a war inside of 21st century modern technological society, but it doesn't work out too well. But but what you can do is you say, if you don't change your culture, Riot Games, EA Games, huge Starbucks, whatever. If you don't change this thing you're doing, which is abusing us financially or sometimes sexual abuse, like at Riot Games, where the game company was abusing women inside, and a horrible rape culture inside a lot of these game companies, and there was a huge walkout, right? So then the capacity for the abusive, parasitic men, because usually men running these big corporations or smaller theater operations, if you have the ability either inside the organization to say we're all going to stop working until you get rid of this shitty rapist and sexual abuser, all right, because if you don't, right, and this is where things actually change, when multiple people were like, if you don't get rid of this terrible, toxic, abusive guy, we're gonna stop working here, and then you don't have a show, because we the women actually make most businesses work. That's the reality. They're the percentage of the working class is overrepresented by women. Let's say that do actual important work. The dudes represent the parasite capitalist class, and even as managers that are not necessarily the billionaire owner, even in the management section, they're not really doing work. They're just running their mouth, having sex with whatever they want, taking all the monetary benefits. So fuck all those guys. Number one, and that includes in households and just in general, because that's part of patriarchy. That's part of that. So which is you get disproportionate amounts of the resources, and there's no wonder why the average white man is not down for undoing this entire system, because they benefit the most from it. So but when all the women who actually said, well, if without me, I manage the stage, I get all of the acts together, I carry this show, and if without me and without these core women, there is no entertainment business. There is no theater show. There is no Hollywood show. There is no this. There is no that. Right? And if everybody says we're all gonna walk, and people start leaving, right, in an organized way, unless you get rid of this person, right, then all of a sudden, guess what? That guy's gone. So, anyways, the good news. I mean, this is a good news. Is that this really horrible, toxic, sexist, abusive piece of crap is no longer with the organization that Holly's friend works for, and that should be a warning to all the other dudes, right? See, this is the thing, and there is it's not necessarily a gender war, but it is kind of, right? That's when Johnny Depp wins a case by throwing billions of dollars and millions of dollars to push his image up and weaponize the U.S. court system against Amber Heard, and then all the dudes are like, yeah, you're a freaking Amber. This is patriarchy versus anti-patriarchy, right? Because the dudes are fighting to maintain a system where women's bodies and their economic and financial ability to survive depends on them, and then there's people who are not for that, and there is money, there is money and there's power at stake. So you can bet your ass that there's a war, and there's a reason why. There's all these grifter dudes that are going straight to they try to get to the patriot socialism. They're trying to build this kind of this male alliance, but all that has to be fought against. Men who are there for men, right? And a lot of these people are former nerds who are hanging out on Reddit. A lot of these people are people who listen to too much Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. A lot of these people are people who are all there for for their Trumps and their Bolsonaros and their Johnsons. Their Johnson and their Boris Johnson. Anyways, but back to this. So Megan represents a woman who is has no men managing her. She is her own manager. She is her own woman. If she wants to put on something, if Megan wants to put on a thong and dance tonight, she can do that. And you can say whatever you want, but that's what she did. No dude is making money from her body or her performance or her entertainment, right? Apart from whoever she wants to give money. I mean, if I found out that there's some other rich dude on top of it making everything, it's one of those things where you can tell you're doing something right when the highest powers of the plutocratic U.S. and NATO are really mad at you. When all the billionaires start getting upset and attacking you, that's how you know you're probably doing something right. But it's kind of when all of the most sexist elements and the most patriarchal elements in a culture start coming at you, you're probably doing something right. Not to say you're not a saint, but anyway. So it's kind of of course it doesn't solve all the problems of the world, but importantly, it's that if you are doing work, right? If you are doing work, then the work that you're doing should, and even if from a left perspective, if you're doing work, the work that you are doing should not be exploited by other people. But a lot of dudes, like the Marxist-Leninist dudes and a lot of the left dudes will be like, oh yes, well, so we can't have Bill Gates making billions and my boss makes more than me. But what they're not seeing is like, you know, again, women generally are doing all kinds of work, whether that's care work, whether that's the cooking, cleaning work, whether that's the, you know, not to say this sometimes it's sex work, but you know, it's like, what they're, you know, being treated as, you know, like on-call sexual, orifices, sexual gratification objects for dudes, right? As opposed to being treated as equal consensual partners in sex, right? You know, if you look at queer dating culture and queer sex culture, it's like there's no like dude in the relationship. There's like two people, and then if they choose to like engage in sex, then they engage in sex, and then if they stop choosing that, then they stop choosing that. As equals, it's not like there's the dude who gets to use the other person for as much sex whenever they fucking feel like it, and there's the other person whose entire existence revolves around looking beautiful and looking sexy for the other person, right? But that is cis culture, right? Do you see how fucked up? That's not equal, right? Women exist to be pleasing and gratifying to my eye. There's an entire, like, I don't think it's not really consciously, but there is a Homestar Runner sketch. It's like, teen girl, what was it? Girl Squad, where their entire it's a 13-year-old boy or somebody whose mind is a 13-year-old boy. What they think women do is just, I wake up and all I do all day is think about how good I'm gonna look for the boys, right? Now, of course, you can wake up and think about how good I'm gonna look, right? And that's fine. But to assume that everything that someone else's life represents, to assume that everything that one half the population's life does is for the other half, right? It's like fundamentally, it's like the phrenology thing, you know. It's like scientific, but no, it's actually, it's very fucked up, patriarchal, abusive, malicious, multi-thousand-year culture of Europe, actually, and not just Europe, but lots of places that have normalized women or people that are identified as women existing as personal, organic, doll, sexual gratification objects for the other half of the population. Japan also has a lot of this. I mean, that's why Japan is working very closely with the G7 and the imperialist, capitalist shitscape countries. You know, and so this kind of and coming back to the present, and so that's step 4. I mean, that's tip 4 from my Silver Spook 12-step program of how to actually have sex, romantic relationships, be fulfilled in life, and be a successful, independent person who has consensual relationships, romantic or sexual, with other people in the world, while also being a dude. Right? The book that I'm not going to write, but I'm basically giving you in the middle of this stream. So is you have to understand, and I made this point before, you have to treat other people, no matter the gender, as other actually equal human beings. You know? I mean, go talk to some queer people and ask them how it works there, right? Because somebody always be like, when there's two lesbians, the cis reaction is, who's the man in the relationship? Okay, there's two women dating and having sex, but who's the man in the relationship, right? That assumption that there has to be a man in the relationship is your toxic culture. That somebody is in control of the other person financially, and what clothes they put on, what kind of makeup they're wearing, and that person exists to sexually gratify the man of the two women, right? And you know, and so you can have queer culture that replicates toxic, queer culture, cis hetero patriarchal culture. That happens, right? Also, but generally it's like there's two people and they're gonna choose, you know, like anything else, right? If you want equality, what you want no landlords and no bosses, right? You want nobody making billions of dollars and then you making nothing. Well, you should want no man. If you don't want the man in economics and business, right, and no kings and no the man in the system, you should want no man in the romantic relationship, right? But that's another thing that has to be, well, I was gonna say decolonized. That's a whole nother level, but it's not so different in the sense of that unjust, non-mutual win-win cooperative relationship of the man and the lesser woman has to be undone. Just as a, not just like men and women, but just like the conception that there's somebody on top on the other people, on the other person underneath them. That's just there as arm candy or eye candy or both. So, anyways, so that's why, like, you know, I just not I know I'm harping a lot on Megan Thee Stallion, but when she shows up, it is important because as a cultural phenomenon, right? And this, of course, there's problems with capitalist, like, lean in sort of tendencies with the boss babe stuff, which is like, you know, we don't like replicate economic exploitation of other people. Not so much women exploitation necessarily, but we don't want to like replicate that as much as possible. But you know, it is like, you know, if you are an independent, if you're a person with an Instagram and you sell your Etsy, you know, weavings and creations and things you make with your labor, if you make a YouTube channel and you have a YouTube videos and people Patreon you money and you have an Instagram and you have a Twitter, you know, like Silver Spook Games, you know, we're basically me and Holly. There's no employees that are doing labor for us, right? That are like getting nothing or we're taking way more than we deserve. There's no employees. There's none. There's worker cooperative members. And if you are like just an Instagram maker or you're a, you know, whatever you're doing, and you know, and people are giving you money for the things you're producing, right? Then like that actually in a certain like that is a better, more positive culture than any corporate culture, any office, which is lots of people, right? Think about it. An office is a space, an office, a restaurant, a workspace, the average Western workspace along with patriarchal bed space where the dude gets off in 10 minutes, falls asleep, and then leaves his, you know, less than 30% of women have orgasms in the capitalist United States. Did you know it was over 70% in communism in Russia? It's like sex is over twice as good for women in communism. So fun. That's also why women want it more, because dudes are like, well, I can get off in capitalism and can also do it in communism. So I don't really give a shit. But women are like, holy shit, I'm gonna be screwing daredevils all day in communism. Holy fuck, I'm not gonna have a bunch of loser, shitty ass dudes who think that they can have sex good because they have a big dick and actually don't realize that only causes pain. Oh my god, I want communism. Yeah, that's a fun fact. It's actually 70%. There's an over 70% orgasm rate for women under communism, and then it dropped precipitously to under 50% after the fall. So, but you know, it's because sexual equality and romantic equality, right? That what? Oh, it must be like so. All the 4chan Reddit dudes are gonna get their calipers out, right? And they're gonna pull out all of their textbooks and their biology and anthropology 206, right? They're gonna pull out their Kant and their Hemingway and their Jordan Peterson and their genius brain Sam Harris books about, you know, evolutionary psychology. Well, you see, under communism, the everyone is so hungry and starving that all they can do is, you know, eat the men must eat the bodily secretions of the women. And so this causes increased cunnilingus and foreplay increases because the men are so bored they have to twiddle their fingers on the clitoris. Men have the time while they're starving under communism with no jobs, and that's how women have orgasms. It's because people are so poor, women are having orgasms now because they're poor and hungry and they're dying from boredom and lack of food because communism evil. Right? In fact, I know, you know, there's probably like 3 dissertations at some NYU or Oxbridge where that's literally the paper the guy wrote about how to explain away the problem of women actually like and have better sex under communism. I'm not joking about that fact, by the way. But, you know, but it's not really, but this actually shows what I'm saying, which is that like economic equality across all different groups of people, as well as romantic and sexual equality across all groups of people, is these are all these are all coming together collectively. They're not separable. They're not compartmentalizable. That's a weird word I just made up, but motherfucker, that was a weird word you just made up. That was a weird motherfucking sneeze I just did. Can I get some clarity up in here? Anyways, I watched 2 Key and Peele shows. You cannot separate like what is happening romantically in the bedroom, economically in the workplace, politically in the government. It's a weird word, a Western word, but you believe that you can separate politics and economics, and like people in your capitals and people in your business towers somehow are completely disconnected. Anyways, the economic reality, right, and the reality in the bedroom is similar, because the way that when you treat people equally in the workplace, right, and you treat people equally and in one way, that's why the victory of any defeat. So when Johnny Depp wins and by weaponizing capitalism and the so-called U.S. justice system, it's a U.S. criminal rubber stamping system called the so-called justice system of the United States against women, it is a blow to women everywhere, and it's also a blow for patriarchy everywhere, and it's also a blow for capitalism, which is reinforcing with that system, and it's also a blow for racism, because all systems of oppression collectively support each other, right? And this is why the United States enforced and pushed racism into Hawaii after it illegally occupied Hawaii. That's a aside. But the systems, and because without racism, the ability to maintain a separated working class that wasn't unifying, right? Like I said, when everybody threatened to withhold their labor power unless they got rid of this shitty, toxic, abusive, sexual abusive dude at the organization, then that guy got gone. That guy's gone now, right? Right? And wages don't go up until everybody gets together and collectively does some kind of strike or threatens it, because individually you're on par. So in Hawaii, they actually enforced racism because where they put Filipino and Japanese and Hawaiian, and the white capitalists who overthrew Hawaii, the United States that backed them and came in with Bob Dole, etc., infused into the culture in the plantations, which is basically like near slavery or basically slavery but spelled differently. They infused into the culture, Hawaiians should distrust Japanese. The Chinese are so stingy, and the Hawaiians like, you can't trust the Japanese because they're all Buddha head or this or that. They put racism into what wasn't a racist Hawaii for the purposes of maintaining the separation of the workers, harvesting their pineapples for less than starvation wages per day, and their sugarcane for terrible abusive wages in tiny little people where men were living 10 people to a 5 like a less than 30 square foot space. Anyways, so the point is that like all of these are working together, and so when you have people who are economically liberated because they're not having an abusive, exploitive boss taking 90% of the labor value, spending it all on their rocket ship companies and their mansions and their fast cars, and then calling you a backward, a degenerate, not evolutionarily deserving plebeian or serf or working class person or slave or peasant or whatever they call you in the West, in the capitalist world. When people undo that, and economically everybody's equal, or at least they're thought of as equal, or we're moving towards that, then in the bedroom it's like, well, why should I, the woman, be less than you? Why should you get to tell me what to do and how to dress? And that's why if you look at the Soviet Union, the image of the woman was the babushka. She was like not there to be a sexual object for some guy, right? The women had power. Women had much more power. They had much higher positions in most of the actual communist and in indigenous societies. Women were equal to, or sometimes were well respected. Nobody's like really above the other person, but women were highly respected. And a lot of the Hawaiian society was very much gender equality, and even matriarchal, and also queer and non-binary people were also considered equal and very revered. Right. So when you have economic equality, then you also when you have a society, a culture that's pushing for that, it also supports and it is supported by gender equality. And so and then that kind of explains why you have over twice the orgasm rate for women. Let me say that one more time, because for the people in the back. Let me say that for all the incels in the back. Over twice the orgasm rate under communist Soviet Russia compared to after the United States back to destruction of a country that was supporting the entire planet's attempts to get out from under colonial and capitalist rule. And anyways, and so, you know, so you know, and I'm like way off of the just the relationship talk, I know, but that's where like the actual culture of, you know, I'm sorry, that's where the actual way in which the workplace is set up and the way that the home space is set up and that the bedroom is, all that stuff has to be interrogated. And you know, again, that explains why a lot of dudes are very sad, because they can't use women as Barbie dolls and as, like, you know, as their fleshlight with a pulse that can cook and clean, you know. That's not going to work anymore, you know, and it shouldn't work anymore. It never was right. It isn't right, and it never will be right. It just, things have just been wrong for centuries. So you should keep, and if the dudes, you don't have to do that though. You don't have to be a part of that, you know. If you choose to, you know, you will be, if you choose to try to go back to that, then you will be sad and you will cry about it a lot, and you will not have sex, and you will be, you know, you will just have a very sad, terrible life, and it will be bad for you. And women you should leave, again, I reiterate, women do not feel like you have to be a part of that relationship. It doesn't matter which one, boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, you know, weird emotional, you know, emotional support daughter or emotional support woman in someone else's life. You don't have to be a part of that relationship. If you are not getting equal treatment from that person, leave that relationship. You know, that's the great thing about, for some weird reason, I mean, lots of problems in the 21st century, but one of the things in some not I shouldn't say all culture, but in a lot of culture is, you know, you don't have to be, the dudes aren't making no fucking money anyway. Why the fuck are you with that dude? You know what I'm saying? The dude, and not to say that like dudes should make lots of money like in the 50s so that they, by doing nothing in an office, so that they could like have a Stepford wife, but no, most dudes are not worth the partnership, unfortunately, you know. And like, so you should just like, so go on permanent strike, you know, until they fucking get better. Now that's depressing, because a lot of women would like to have somebody who has a penis who isn't a piece of crap. That's the other thing, is that women don't hate men. They don't hate men just generally. They like, you know, and I probably shouldn't speak for all women, but you know, I don't, obviously. But this is just like, I'm trying to speak to people who think wrong things, right? They don't hate men. They just like, they would love to be with somebody who has a penis and who has a beard and stuff like that and is a man. But then like, just so many of them are just so crap. Again, it's like, you know, it would be great, but it's just like they have really bad ideas and behaviors, and work ethics and attitudes and abusive tendencies and expectations. And that's means that the majority of men, especially cis hetero men, will remain sexless and single until for this foreseeable future, until they change. So that's what you know. And again, it's better for women and it's better for men, because then both women and men will have more actual relationships, which both of them want, right? See, I was talking to Holly about this. It's like the dudes are not having the relationship. The dudes are like trying. They're trying to hit on the women. They're trying to get in a relationship, but they can't get in the relationship, because not because they don't want one, but because of their toxic, just bad ways of thinking about things. And the women would like to have a relationship, but you know, and they're not trying to get with those guys, right? You know, not because they're not getting hit on, but because they, I mean, and not because they don't want a relationship with a, not saying all, I mean, the women who are attracted to dudes, it's not because they don't want to have a relationship with the dude, it's because all the options for the dudes are terrible options. or the vast majority of the options of the dating pool are terrible options. And not because not because the dude has a wrong size of skull, not because the dude doesn't look like Uber Chad, not because the dude, I don't know, he isn't making trillions of dollars, although making no dollars and being a lazy piece of shit doesn't help your cause. You know, not because the dude is like, I don't know, too this or too that or too big or too small. Like Holly is like, in Holly and my group of friends, there's lots of dudes that are bigger dudes or smaller dudes, nerdy dudes, and a lot of them have goth girlfriends. All got lots of goth girlfriends. Goth girlfriends all over the goddamn place. Goth girlfriends, there's nerd girlfriends, gamer girlfriends, you know, there's lots of them. But the thing in common with, like, I mean, let me get off of this screenshot. I've been on this thing for fucking how long? But the thing in common with, like, you know, the groups of people, if you come, this is a good time to shout out the Lullaby Lounge, because that's some of what I'm talking about. A lot of the people who hang out in this show that Holly is the moderator and the producer and a producer and writer for, the lounge, a lot of the people with Xanattack or Kate Nix, I'm making a game called Pigeon with Gun that is set in this world. This is a screenshot from that, by the way. With giant gajillionaire robot fights a pigeon with a gun. Who wins? Find out in the game. That is a spin-off from the show. Anyways, so the show, The Lounge, that Holly produced for, lots of people in the community around this show, right, have, they're nerds, they're geeks, drama nerds, gamers, tabletop gamers, indie wrestlers. Kate's partner is Ophidian the Cobra, who is a you know, he's an indie wrestler, and he's also a weird nerd like Holly and me. And you know, you know, there's bigger dudes. Ophidian the Cobra doesn't know how to cut a sandwich. Okay, I mean that's pretty. I mean, so don't think that because, you know, some people say like Napoleon Dynamite. This is wrong. Girls only want guys with good skills. You know, like Ophidia doesn't know how to fucking cut a submarine sandwich. I'm just kidding. We're just playing on, but no, but you know, it's not about that. It's like, obviously there's, you know, different things, but you know, I shouldn't put him on the spot, but you know, it's like he chooses to show up for Kate and be there and helps her with her projects and doesn't expect to be her manager and treat her like a child, or, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I mean, I don't know everything about the relationship, but you know, the people in the community that show up, at least most of the ones that still are around the community, are full of all kind of people, and lots of them are nerds, right? The people who go on Reddit. Actually, one of them literally is like the ultimate manager of Reddit, basically. It's like very high up the totem pole. Like, puts all the fires out when Reddit is set on fire, right? And this guy is not a Chad looking dude. You know, is that, you know, and many other ones, they look all kind. There's like smaller guys and there's bigger guys. There's tall guys. There's short guys. There's all kind of different guys. Not all of them are straight, you know, but there's lots of dudes with women or non-binary femme presented people, and they are like happily in long-term relationships, multiple relationships, you know, but you know what a lot of them have in common is that well, it's not a lot of I shouldn't say there's not a lot of white guys, but there's a disproportionate amount of non-white guys, let's say, in a lot of the relationships, but part of that is the racism and patriarchy come together. But I mean, there's lots of white guys too, and the thing is that what is in common is that the dudes, you know, treat and expect to be treated, at least as best as I can gather, the women as like full human beings, not as props and set pieces for their life, number one, or number two, with some weird fucked up idea that they're all going to be Stacy from bogus Stacy Chad 4chan memes. You know, they just like, the women are full, complete peoples who deserve to be treated as equal full human beings and complete peoples. and this is the one thing I will say. I think most of those the guys and the people that have relationships in that community do not, when a woman or someone who is femme presenting shows up to their D&D night or with a woman's name or a lady girl name inside of a chat, they don't immediately assume, oh, who's your boyfriend that brought you here, right? They don't immediately go, well, what is a girl doing in the nerd space, right? Because once you do that, you've already turned off that girl and all the other ones that you might, right? It's but it's so common. You know, I think a lot of the nerds who have built their alternate reality, they don't even think about this, but it's a thing that happens a lot. I even know, like, I have had weird thoughts like that in my own mind over the years until recently. So I'm speaking from experience. This is a thing, but I was already married when I was still thinking these things. So I got lucky in that sense. But anyways, so that's also a shout out. So you should watch The Lounge. The next episode is coming up soon. I'm actually working on the game Pigeon with Gun, like I said. If you would like to follow that game Pigeon with Gun, you can. Don't forget, you can. You can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, Twitter at Silverspook Guy, Instagram at Silverspook, Facebook Silverspook Games, etc. And you can also follow. This is a screenshot from that game. So this is like one of the coolest parts of the game I'm currently working on, where the pigeon with the gun finds a gajillionaire robot and in a synthwave, bisexually lit cyberpunk future, and so if you want to learn more about that, you can also follow my itch.io page where this game will be coming out. This game will be coming out on the itch.io page soon. While you wait for that, check out some of the other games like Neofeud, Indigistar, Decolonators, etc. Anyways, so back to the show though. How to get smashed, right? So the important thing to remember is that, like, one of the misconceptions is, what am I on? Step 4, step 5? Okay. So what the long point I was making, and then I went on a few digressions, is that, like, there is a variety of people that She-Hulk dates, right? Different personality types, different body types, body sizes, different income levels, different levels. I mean, different. I shouldn't say different disabilities. Some people are disabled in different ways. She-Hulk dates lots of people, right? Actually, more than half the show. I want to say more than half the show is actually She-Hulk dating. It's literally like rule number 1 is just watch this goddamn show. And, like, don't get mad at the show. Watch this show and, like, try to put your ego and your own hubris aside and your own blue balls aside. Okay, just ignore that stuff. Stop jerking off She-Hulk pictures and then just, like, watch the show and try to observe, like, what happens, right? Because she goes on these dates. Now, some of the dudes just to say, like hashtag not all the dudes in She-Hulk are terrible. Where's the other dude? This one. So she, like, some of the dudes, they show up and they're like, oh, wow, you're really hot. Oh, did you know? Yeah, I'm really cool. Some of the dudes are, like, looking at their phone and, like, not listening to anything she's saying. Don't do that. I mean, that's an easy one. Like, don't be a bad listener, right? Like, don't ignore the women. I mean, that's not a good one. That's not a good thing to do. You shouldn't do that generally, right? But what that's a sign of when you're not listening and you're not, and sometimes I can definitely do things that are in that alley sometimes. But if somebody is talking and you're on a date and you're, like, supposed to be having a conversation and you're, like, not listening to what you're saying, that's a thing. That's part of an unequal power structure, right? That's not like you can tell the CEO in a movie, right? Is like, the CEO, when someone else comes in, they're talking to someone more important than the person in front of them on the phone, right? I think that's in the Iron Man movie even, which is not the most self-conscious franchise. And, the boss is talking to someone else. You're not worth their time. You're not listening to what they're saying. You can tell that the boss, they're like, no, I don't have time for you. Whatever you have to say cannot be important. Other things are more important than you. So when you're supposed to be having this talk when you're supposed to be talking to someone and you're not listening to them, well, number one, how are you gonna have a relationship? But number two, you're telling them that what they have and what they're saying and what they're talking about isn't important. And then there's part of you. Well, what I'll do is I'll pretend like what the woman is saying. I'll pretend like I'm listening to what the woman is saying, right? Or just nod along. I think that's actually in True Lies, but but with Arnold, right, which that has all kind of weird toxic shit in it. But that's also a dating movie. But it's from the 90s in the United States. It's from the most horrific country in the world in the 90s in its heyday. So it's to be expected. But it's like just pretend like you hear what the woman's saying and then just like have sex with her and then overthrow democracies and shit, as part of the CIA, which Arnold works for. Anyways, but so don't ignore the women, number one. And so one guy does that, and she acts like, I'm out of that. I'm not here for this. Other dudes are like getting weirdly nerding out about the She-Hulk, like, oh, I heard that like the blood that you have has this gamma radiation. Are you do you have like do you like how do you transform, like what I heard that I don't know, you run at 60 or 80 miles per hour, like just like getting weirdly obsessed. And it's another way to like treat the person not as a full person, but as not putting on the pedestal, although that's not good either. But you could treat some of the dudes treat She-Hulk as this just as a wonder, as a superhero, right? Or not even as a superhero, just like as a phenomenon. Now phenomenon, and obviously it's She-Hulk because it's so whoa, what's up with this? You're like super strong, you're 7 feet tall, you have gamma radiation in your blood, you can like throw a boulder 300 feet. Whoa, right? But if you ostensibly you're trying to have a relationship, treating the other person as a small subset of who they are, that's also like, oh, she was like, I'm not here for that. And she's like, I'm out of here. And then there's this dude who, at least this dude, She-Hulk goes on the date as She-Hulk, because that's another interesting thing. She-Hulk goes on a date as Jen Walters, who he's like the polar opposite of She-Hulk, right? Jen is they're both, they don't have, unlike Hulk, prior to his like getting his figuring after 15 years out how to be both Hulk and Bruce Banner at the same time, right? But Jen Walters' character, right, is she is, when she's She-Hulk, she is Jen Walters, and in when she's Jen Walters, she's She-Hulk. Like her mind doesn't change; it's the same. It's just the shape of her body changes. That's about it, right? But Jen is like tiny, and She-Hulk is huge. They have very different hair types, and their body type is a lot different, right? And so like that's interesting too. Like different dudes are into Jen, and different dudes are into She-Hulk. And so this is one of the ones where this dude is actually one of the dudes who is, I would say, he's definitely like not a total shit guy. Unlike the intelligentsia guy, right? Where the fuck is he? I lost him. That guy, right? That guy's a total piece of crap. I mean, I don't know. Going from best to worst, I don't know. I don't really want to get into a ratings game because I'm gonna repeat some of the neophrenology of Reddit and the Stacy Chad memes. But this guy is more he's like worthy of dating, worthy of possibly having a relationship, right? Now, when he goes on the date, like he's nice, he's like he listens to her, like he listens, like he's like being respectful. He's not like leering and being creepy, like just staring at boobs all the time or something else. Doesn't go like, whoa, you're She-Hulk, oh my god, like can you like lift a house? Like can I measure this? Can I measure your skull? Can I measure your arm? Can you pick me up and like get all fucking weird like that? Like at least 2 or 3 of the guys do that. He doesn't do that. He like treats her like a human person, even if she is like 7 feet tall and technically meta-human or whatever they call superheroes in this universe. I forgot. But he treats her like a person. And then, you know, they're having a date. The date's going good. And then She-Hulk's like, I think we're gonna get those fries to go. Like, that's the scene where she's like, let's get these to go. Cause like She-Hulk, I think it's like the first time She-Hulk actually has sex. So there you go. I mean, that's actually, this is not like, this is how you guarantee you're going. I should put a disclaimer following like who gets laid in She-Hulk and who gets into a relationship with She-Hulk and who Jen Walters / She-Hulk likes is not guaranteed to work in the real world. I'm not saying just like follow that and then expect to have sex. That's not what I'm saying. But like the dude, like I at least see like he fulfills like a lot of these things that are like this is like baseline stuff. It's not like, the thing is like only like it is sad that like 2 out of maybe a dozen, actually, if you add up all the like the speed dates, or not the speed date, the dates that go to the length of a speed date because of how shitty the dudes are in the dating pool. And then She-Hulk and her friend are commiserating like, oh my god, this is the worst thing, is having to fucking find a date while you're a woman. Right? But like the majority of the men do not meet even the bar that's like below the ground level of requirements. They do not meet the bare requirements. They're not like exceeding the requirements. They don't even meet the basic requirements. It's like, can you like treat other people that happen to be women as people? Over half the dudes don't even meet that one. That's why 63% of dudes can't find dates. Right? That's like, remember the statistic? 63, I think it was 63% of dudes cannot find dates on dating apps because of, and it goes, you know, it's so hard because of healthy relationship standards, suggesting that dudes, if we just like let dudes treat women like shit, that's how we solve the horny dude problem. But you see the article? What the fuck is wrong with these articles? That was one. Anyways, so it's like what's wrong with all Western articles and everything they've ever put into print, film, and everything else? But that's, you should note that. That's why women are so upset. Like, that's why a lot of women are fucking angry all the time. And they can control their anger is because dudes are so fucking upsetting. You know, and like, I, as a dude, I don't want to spend a lot of time with other dudes. I'm being 100 with you. I do not want to spend time with other men and with most other men because they're fucking terrible. And I like, when I was more shitty, actually when I was more, I never really wanted to hang out with lots of these dudes. But even when I was more shitty, I mean, it was a little harder to see how fucked up it was before. Maybe that's what it is. But like, I don't want to, especially now, I don't want to spend time with most other dudes because most other dudes, unfortunately, are more in the the Peterson incel fucking camp. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but it's like, that's, especially dudes at like my age and younger. I should not, maybe, especially the ones that are like between the ages like 20 and 45 or something like that. I don't know, but I don't want to spend any time with these people. They're fucking assholes, It's very sad because I would like to have more friends that are dudes. I don't have a lot. We're very much still like we have a lot of immunocompromised people, so I'm not going out and do, game nights and movies and shit as much, in person stuff. But still, like, I talk to other people, and a lot of the people that I'm talking to are not dudes, because over 63% of them can't treat other people like human beings, and that's why they have blue balls. So, especially they can't treat women like human beings, or not that they can't. They fail to, or they don't expect to, or for whatever reason, because they can't. That's not because they can't. It's because they are, I don't know, they just think wrong things, and then they just, are currently pieces of crap. Maybe one day they'll get better, but that's not my responsibility. And that's not your women. That is not your responsibility to fix them. They have to fix themselves. Your job is to get out of there and let them fucking fix themselves, and then they let them be horny and lonely, and then go fuck their little body pillow until they figure this shit out. Or die alone, forever. For the people that are alone are not alone because there are women who don't want to have sex with them. They are alone because they, for whatever reason, fail to follow the Silver Spook 12-step program that I'm going to be selling soon. Anyways, so But anyway, back to this dude. So when this guy goes on the date with She-Hulk, he like fulfills all the baseline requirements. It's unclear. Like Jen doesn't really have a body type that she like doesn't come like, oh, I really want to have sex with the dudes that like, you know, they're like they have a body type like a Marvel superhero. You know, I want to date like, you know, she dates the skinnier dude. She dates the Daredevil. She has a lot of sex with Daredevil. That would be the most sex she ever has in the entire show. You know, there's lots of different dudes, but what they have in common is the things I was just kind of saying, right? Which most guys do not meet, unfortunately. They don't even meet my standards for friendship. That's how sad it is. You know, I'm not going around all over the place and going, hey, dude, you want to be friend? Hey, you want to be friend? Hey, you want to be my friend? I don't do that. But I mean, like, unfortunately, a lot of the ones, and I mean, I'm around more nerd culture. More nerd culture. So that's gonna skew things. But you know, but nerd culture is fucking everywhere. And I'm not saying that non-nerd culture is fucking better, because there's lots of working class, fucking racist, fascist pieces of garbage too. So he meets the baseline requirements, and then She-Hulk, like they get together, they have a good date. She-Hulk picks him up, and you know, also when She-Hulk picks up the dude, he doesn't get all fucking weird, you know. But he is into She-Hulk. He's into She-Hulk specifically. I'm not gonna come back to that. So and then the thing is, the next day after the date, so She-Hulk, they sleep together. They sleep together. She-Hulk the next day gets up. She is back in Jen form, right? So she's not 7 feet tall with like, you know, a giant mane of black hair, and she doesn't have like, you know, her superheroic, or she doesn't have a She-Hulk body type. She's back as Jen, right? Like that. And the dude is, you know, like, you know, this is very important. Like, how does he react to She-Hulk when she is, how does this guy react to her when she is in the Jen form? Now, he doesn't go like, oh my God, that's disgusting, what the fuck, and then leave. I don't want to be with some tiny little, I thought I was with a She-Hulk. Like, he's like a little bit like he's like a little bit like, he doesn't say anything for a second. I can't remember exactly what happens. But he's like, you know, I think he kind of goes. It's a little bit like kind of what happened, right? But he basically is kind of like, I am really into the She-Hulk body type. I want like a 7 foot, really buff chick that's green with black hair. Or I don't know what exactly. He's like, but you know, she's a big, like buff athletic looking She-Hulk, right? She's way taller than him, right? And way stronger than him. And like, he's like, I don't, and he later on says this, like, there's a court drama happens where all the people, like literally, the dating is central to the plot of She-Hulk. When there's a part of the show where, is it Titania? There's a part of the show where Titania, is who is in She-Hulk, yeah. Titania is trying to steal the name She-Hulk, and Titania is another superhero who sues She-Hulk for copyright infringement, for plagiarizing, for stealing and using the word She-Hulk, right? As if Titania owns it. And so to prove, right, in court that She-Hulk had already been going by She-Hulk, right? Because it's a long, complicated case. There's lots of back and forth, and, you know, because Jen did say, "Oh, She-Hulk, weird. I don't know what the fuck. That's a bad name." But later on, eventually, She-Hulk goes by it, and to prove that Jen is the one who is the real She-Hulk, all the people that Jen has dated come out and testify. There's a lot of people who all say, "Yeah, she was going by She-Hulk. She talked to me. We dated as She-Hulk. Yeah. Oh yeah, she let me down because she didn't want to like flex and like carry me to my car. Oh yeah, we dated." And Mr. Creepazoid, right, Mr. Intelligentsia guy was like, "Oh yeah, she turned me down because all women are feminist cancer because they were SJW. She-Hulk is a SJW green skin. She doesn't have green hair, but she has black hair with green skin. It's basically the same thing. She's a woke SJW, and then she turned me down because because my skull is too short and the length of my femur to my tibia ratio is off, and but I hate her. I hate She-Hulk now. I hate her a lot. No, he testifies. Now he's a terrible guy, but the point is she showed so many people. She went and publicly was like known to so many people as She-Hulk. It was incontrovertible that Jen had been using the She-Hulk moniker, and so that's how she gets to keep her name She-Hulk. Anyway, so coming back to the point though. So when this guy, let's call him nice, not nice guy because that sounds like a fedora guy. Good dude into She-Hulk guy. When Mr. Good Dude into She-Hulk guy shows up to testify, he's like, I don't hate Jen. I don't think that Jen is ugly or like bad or something. He's like, because they asked like, why did you not continue going on dates? He's like, I am just into She-Hulk. And he's like, I'm sorry. That's my body type is I'm into She-Hulk. And that's like what he said. I'm into She-Hulk. And and so like, it's not to say that people are not attracted to certain things, but like not all dudes are attracted to She-Hulk either. It's like people have different. So that's another important thing, which is like, it's not to say that like nobody has any body types that they're attracted to, but it's not like everybody is attracted to people who look like Uber Chad Man and Stacy Lady. That's like just like not true. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm getting that point across, but that's one of the incel and incorrect things that men who are currently trying to date think that is part of why they construct these alternate narratives in their head about how they are not getting dates because women want to date dudes that are like a 10, blah, 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 and they're going to refuse them. And so that's not true. Anyways, so that's another thing that's, point number 6, Silver Spook tips to having romantic life and career fulfillment in 2022. Tip number 6, understand there are different people who have a variety of different types of body types, and sometimes different body types that they're attracted to at different times of the day or in their life, etc. So, because if you don't get that, then you can be wrapped up into this fucked up mentality of we have to just like kill women because we will never be deserving and we have to just hate them. Because you see how like if you think that, right, then if you don't meet this ridiculous expectation put there by some idiots on 4chan or put there by Western culture and diet magazines and the diet industry and Western Hollywood and plastic surgery and that kind of plastic surgery industry and the dating industry and all that shit, right? That's all comes together. Eurocentric beauty standards that come along with colonialism and capitalism, etc., etc. Patriarchal male gaze stuff. So whatever is putting this crap in your mind, right? You gotta like, it's hard, but you have to like work on getting rid of a lot of that stuff because otherwise it can cause a mentality. I don't fit that standard that I somehow think is what must happen. If I don't look exactly like, if I'm not 6'5" and I'm as ripped as a Marvel Cinematic Universe actor in the height of their filming, which is ridiculous and unmaintainable, by the way. Ask Chris Evans even how long he can stay and how much work it is to stay in Captain America form. If I don't look like Captain America, I will never have sex, and it's women's fault that I'm not having sex, and because that I will I'm gonna just end my life, or I'm gonna do something. I'm just gonna be sad, or I'm gonna hate women. I'm gonna get sad, or I'm gonna get angry, and I'm gonna go and like just hate them. And sometimes that erupts as deadly violence, or just like a bunch of shitty toxic dudes that will never have sex, and then make it hard for women who would like to have sex with them, or have relationships with them, etc. So do you see what that's a very important one. You have to understand that this conception that anyway. So back to the dude. So I would say that like this particular like good dude who's into She-Hulk specifically is like I'm not saying you should aspire to be that dude, but like that's a dude that some women would date. Jen Walters / She-Hulk is one of them, right? And in the real world, somebody that's like that would date. Not because the guy is like, oh yeah, I'm like, I can bench 300 pounds and I'm like the I don't know, the Middle Eastern version of Captain America, Captain Middle East. I'm not saying he's Middle Eastern. He's just, he's got a shaved head and he's got maybe like clean yourself and stuff, like take a bath. I mean, that's hard for white people, but to listen to Jake Gyllenhaal and a bunch of podcasters who tell you that taking a bath is not necessary, and that's not gonna help you. That's not gonna help you out. I don't think that's not gonna help you. So maybe do that. But it's like but he has his things, and so that's like a part where like in the show where she hears him say that, and she's kind of like Jen, kind of like, oh man, that kind of hurts. It hurts because Jen's like, a lot of people love She-Hulk. Nobody loves Jen. Right? A lot of people, the dudes are attracted to She-Hulk. Nobody's attracted to me. And so it's like, but which is not true. Daredevil, again, Daredevil doesn't come for She-Hulk. Daredevil's like, Daredevil, and again, right? That's kind of why they saved the best for last, or they saved the most smashing for last. Anyways, is because but Daredevil is just there talking to Jen, so Daredevil, like, I'm a good, but I'm like into She-Hulk. Daredevil is also just like, or here's Matt Murdock is, I forget exactly how they meet. What is the plot line? Let's get the plot. How do Matt Murdock and Jen Walters meet? Jen first encounters lawyer Matt. I'm trying to remember the plot line specifically. Jen first encounters fellow lawyer Matt, also known as the vigilante Daredevil, in the courtroom. The two, that's what it is. So she actually is mad at him first. The two then meet up at the bar, and eventually head back to Jen's place where they sleep together. So Matt Murdock is actually fighting against She-Hulk in court, right? Because Daredevil's also a lawyer. Matt Murdock, the human non-hero form of Daredevil, is a lawyer, right? And so he is litigating against She-Hulk. I believe he's litigating for She-Hulk's tailor, and She-Hulk is actually fighting against her own tailor, which is another important thing. In She-Hulk's boss, right? Like, remember always talking about these abusive bosses managing dudes that are managing the women. She-Hulk's boss at the law firm actually who is an asshole and is also a white dude. He is asking She-Hulk. He has lots of asshole things. Number one, he only hires She-Hulk because of the marketing and the wow factor of we have a She-Hulk, right? It's basically, he doesn't really care about Jen. He doesn't, this guy is a total asshole. He does multiple things where he asks She-Hulk to do things that gets her in trouble. He requires that Jen show up in She-Hulk form in the office. So he's like, in the show, he is like the shitty, crappy, asshole, disproportionately white dude bosses, right? And richer white dude boss who doesn't really do shit. Like I was saying, right? What does Elon do? He puts more defects into his Teslas than he designs. He like completely blows it on so many things. I'm always making fun of this guy because this guy is endlessly make funnable. What is his job? Right? He doesn't do shit. So the law firm boss guy, he's like the manager guy, like speaking of Holly's friend, right? He doesn't really, his job is to sexually take advantage of other women, this guy doesn't, in the office, you don't see him sexually take advantage of women in the law firm, but he is taking advantage of their work and doesn't really do much. But he has his name. He has the old boys network, the old white man network. He's got his big mountains of money, and he just throws his weight around and abuses everybody around him. He tells She-Hulk, you have to, and he tells She-Hulk in this episode, you have to litigate against your own tailor. Because She-Hulk's like, this is the fucked up thing. The guy says, She-Hulk, Jen, you are not showing up to the office appropriately. Your suit, you look like you're the defendant in like a football case or something. You're like a football player defendant. It's like, She-Hulk, you are not properly dressed. Go find a proper suit. And She-Hulk's like, well, how the hell am I going to find a suit that can transform from a 5-foot tiny little, a tiny little diminutive little girl into 7-foot She-Hulk, who can tailor a suit for that specification. So She-Hulk gets recommendations to this very exclusive, specific tailor who also happens to tailor suits for other superheroes. And then this dude who's like, so she's finally got her suit, and then the dude, the boss says, okay, now you're gonna sue, or you're gonna attack your own tailor. And the tailor's like, fuck, what the hell are you attacking me? And it refuses to give Jen her very important dress suit, right? Anyway, so the long story short is like, that guy is another example of how to not be, which is that guy also treats like everyone, and especially women around him, and he treats She-Hulk as an object to benefit from economically, financially, marketing for his little fucking law firm or whatever. And people under him, the other women too, the other girl's like, oh, She-Hulk eventually leaves the law firm, and the other girl works is like, oh, I'm not going to leave though because they pay me good. Basically, I'm only working for these assholes, right? It's kind of like being in a loveless Stepford wife marriage in the 50s. I can't leave my husband even though he's terrible and I hate him because I need the house and the roof that I live under. And I don't want to be branded, and I don't want to have to, be destitute. If I get, because that's another threat is if you leave me, you'll be branded as, a tramp or something, and you're gonna lose out more if you leave me than if you just stick with my abusive, like physically violent, like drunken, financial, sexual abuse inside of this household. So the dude, it's very important. That's where the economic reality of a bunch of employees that are being abused by their boss, taking all of their labor value and all their revenue and putting it in their pocket, is directly reflected in the household where the man is taking all of the whatever he wants from the woman and threatening her if she, and she's trapped. Like, I can't leave because I have no options. Which implies if I had options to leave this shitty guy, I would, right? So anyway, so that's another good example of don't follow that dude, obviously. But anyway, and so Daredevil gets into a position where She-Hulk is in a position where she is so she's litigating against Daredevil. Daredevil, like, I think they win the case, but it was a tough case for She-Hulk because of the kind of garbage ass dude that she is defending in that case. So afterward, She-Hulk and Daredevil meet in a bar. So I don't have the picture of that. So She-Hulk and Daredevil meet in a bar, and Daredevil is just there to be like, hey, you could do good, because Daredevil he defends people in court and he fights for what he thinks is important in court. Also important, Daredevil is from Hell's Kitchen, which is not a nice side of New York City. I've been to Hell's Kitchen. It is not the nicest part of New York, of New York State, certainly, nor the city. And Daredevil is, he works pro bono, which basically means and She-Hulk's family members, right? At one point, She-Hulk brings Daredevil, or he shows up at a family party, and all of She-Hulk's, like, the dad and the family are like, what, wait, you're saying you work for free, so you're like a bum? To Daredevil, they're like, so I'm just saying it's expensive to raise kids in LA. You got this guy, he's like what is he working for free? So Daredevil is not rich. He's not rich. He makes some amount of money, obviously. He does some court cases that make some money, or I forget exactly what he does in the show, but He does have another a practice, but a lot of the work that he does, he is not rich, right? Because that's one thing that's part of the Stacy Chad, right? That's part of the whole Stacy and the Becky Stacy and the Chad and all this crap, incel memes, is that the women are only gonna go for dudes who have tons and tons of money. They want rich dudes who look like Mr. Chad, man, who really needs to get his left elbow reset. That looks like a bad break. Also, your right shoulder. Holy shit. Maybe grow a fifth finger, buddy. Holy goddamn, son. I don't know who wants to get with that. What kind of weird volleyball did you stick in your pants today? My goodness. I don't know who wants to get with that. It's weird. What you see, this is what you spend too much time in Western nerd spaces, man. You get all kind of weird ideas in your head. Anyways, like you should put volleyballs in your pants. Anyways, but Daredevil, when he shows up with She-Hulk, he's not rich. His She-Hulk's family, right? When let me see if I can get a picture of it. So Daredevil goes to a family get together, right? You also get to meet. I'm sure you heard this already. You get to meet the Hulk's son, so that's interesting. Here's the get together where you meet the Hulk's son and Kevin Feige or whatever his name is, and so and in the get together, Daredevil is the family's like, oh no, you're too poor to go out with my daughter, you're too poor. You're a broke ass motherfucker. And but Jen is not there because it's not because he looks like a nerdy little dude. Like he just looks like a normal. He's like a dude. I mean he's not like, I don't know. He doesn't look like super weird or something, but he doesn't look like Chris Evans or Chris Pratt or whatever these people think they should supposed to look like. He's just like a normal looking, average looking dude. And he's not very rich, and everyone else is really concerned about that. And that is who Jen is like super into. And she's not, the thing is, Jen is not, Jen / She-Hulk has all the reason not to be into him, right? Cause Daredevil just like kicked her butt in the courtroom. She's like not happy with him, right? She's not happy with this guy. She's kind of frustrated when she first meets him in the bar, right? And then she's also not into being a superhero. She doesn't want to be a superhero. She talks to Hulk and she's like, I don't want to be like you because this completely wrecks the life that I already have. And she's like, Hulk, right, keeps trying to get like, come on, Jen, just join the Avengers. Just be a hero. And she's like, absolutely not. And so not only does Daredevil, defeat her humiliatingly in the courtroom, then he shows up in the bar and it's like, Jen, come be a superhero with me, or just be a superhero. And she's like, no. Anyway, so my point is like all these things that he's doing are like not things that are like desirable. They're not things that are gonna like win brownie points with her, right? They're not things that she likes. So why is she having sex with Daredevil a lot? Right? What right? You see? The poor I mean, whether he's blind or not, let's not go there. But he's a poor dude that like does multiple irritating things, that is asking her to do a thing that she don't want to do, right? He's like really average looking. I mean, yeah, he's Daredevil. But She-Hulk's like, no, I'm not into superheroes. She's not. Jen is like, I don't want to be anywhere near the superheroes. I just want to be a lawyer. I just want to be a normal lawyer, And so why this guy? Why this guy? Right? And so, but if you look at it, like when they're talking, I mean, he has some funny jokes. So, I mean, having some kind of sense of humor, I mean, doesn't mean you have to be a fucking comedian. In fact, don't try to be a comedian too hard, or you might end up blowing it big time. But he he's just like a normal, nice person. He does at least treat her like she's like a normal human being. I mean, like Mr. Baseline. I'm into Mr. Baseline, good dude, but I'm like into She-Hulk man, right? He like treats her like a person. Like he actually does things that she doesn't find. He does multiple things that she doesn't find likable, but like in the ways that matter, which is like he's like, you're not a bad lawyer. This case, like he's not like, oh, I beat your ass, haha, look how good I am. He's just like, I won the case, but it was gonna be hard for you to win it. He does admit that. He's not fully fucking stuck up about these things. Actually, he does do some things that are like some things that might have been. He does lots of irritating things. Actually, thinking about it now, he's all like, what are you doing? You're just gonna smash everything. Like when she does finally come to try to do some superheroism with him, he's like, let me lead because you haven't really done this thing. You don't really do this thing, and because She-Hulk is mostly just trying to do lawyering, and then only like in an extremely tight spot does she turn into She-Hulk if she has to, right? She's not really doing a lot of heroism, but he's like doing lots of vigilante fighting bad guys, all the time as Daredevil when he's not lawyering. Anyways, and so, and he kind of like, but he's like, but he is correct that like she does smash a lot of stuff and break a lot of stuff, and she doesn't know what she's doing when it comes to this crime fighting stuff, right? Now, being super strong and able to smash a lot of stuff does help, because Daredevil, he has like super hearing and he can like see and hear anyone at any place with his very enhanced, like basically bat-like echolocation, right? So that makes him good at fighting in that sense. But like he's also not super powered. He's not super powered the way that She-Hulk is, or she can smash through walls, throw, she can throw like an ice cream truck across a parking lot, which she does to stop him. So again, and so it's kind of like what is it, right? What is it, right? What is it that like the overrepresented women writing team who are writing the show She-Hulk, like how what is this kind of saying, right? But one of the things, but that's the main thing that he does is treat, like, he respects Jen as a person, as a lawyer, as a professional, because he's also a lawyer, so he knows this game, right? He doesn't like put himself up here or down there. He also is like not about the money. Not to say that not making any money is good, but he's like he has work in his life, right? He has something that he's passionate about and dedicated to in his life. And I think that's at least a little bit that makes him more attractive than a dude who his whole life, right? Like what is Mr. Snivelly asshole man, right? What is his life about, right? Making a lot of money, right? He has like literal African relics that he's like Wakanda forever in a weirdly distasteful way. And he's like, Wakanda, yeah, I got all these African artifacts. I bought this one for $1 million at an auction. Ha 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 ha. Fun fact, the rich, just really quick aside, rich New York assholes this week were auctioning off stolen Hawaiian Kingdom memorabilia. I'm, as a native Hawaiian, incredibly offensive. Just like Mr. Asshole, right? Colonizers in New York City were selling at an auction house in Bonham stolen Hawaiian flags and paraphernalia from our capital for $20,000 to $30,000 that they literally stole from Hawaii, right? Royal Hawaiian flag flown at Liliuokalani's residence. That was our last leader, the Queen of Hawaii, before the U.S.-backed gunboat overthrow of our country, right, and destruction of our language, culture, etc., etc. Royal Hawaiian standard flown at Liliuokalani's residence during the overthrow. Linden standard with painted Royal Hawaiian heraldic insignia to the center of both sides. This literally was stolen from Hawaii, and now it's being auctioned off for $20,000 to $30,000 by some rich New York, shitty white dude. And one of the people working on that is Darren Sutherland. Look at it. Why don't you just fucking put like your little curly mustache? Put a top hat on, Mr. McKinley. It's fucking New Yorkers, man. It's an imperialist shithole. That's what New York is, unfortunately. Like a lot of the people that run that place. It's literally it's the capital of capitalism, basically, and the dickheads that overthrew our country. Anyway, I want to stop being upset about that. Back to She-Hulk. But that's one of the things that this dude. That's one of the things that actually is a good point. This character, he thinks in a second date with She-Hulk, that it's not a date. I think he just shows up somewhere. But the second encounter that she has, at least, I forget the exact circumstances, he thinks that a good thing to say to impress a woman is, oh yeah, I got this I got this African artifacts that I got, I paid $1 million for this. Check this out. Oh, it's pretty cool, huh? Look at this artifact that colonizer stole from Africa, and I bought it at an auction, right? Like some white asshole, right? Some rich white Elon relative or Bloomberg or Gates cousin or some feudal capitalist spoiled white man baby at the top of a planetary totem pole of patriarchy, capitalism, colonialism, racism, etc. is going to buy that flag, or was going to buy that flag, because I think they took it off the auction now, because it's actually illegal to sell stolen goods. Not that America cares about legality. The whole fucking overthrow was illegal, but never mind. And so some guy was going to buy the flag of Hawaii that the United States stole when they overthrew our sovereign country illegally, banned our language and culture, and ghettoized us, and used us as a leaking gas tank for the U.S. empire to go make war in Asia and over half the planet. And so this guy who was going to buy that flag would go to dates in New York City, right? Just like Mr. Douchebag with She-Hulk in LA. And he was going to go on a date and say, you know what I have? This is the flag flown at Liliuokalani's palace in Hawaii during the overthrow. Did you know that? Aren't I cool? Don't you want to have sex with me now? Don't you want to have sex with me now? Because I'm a rich white man from New York City that has $1 million to spend on a flag from Hawaii or on a spear or a crown from Africa. Don't you want to fuck me now? Like what possesses right? What possesses some shitty rich white dude to think that's a good thing to say on a date with a woman, unless you're dating fucking Hillary Clinton, or Liz Truss or something, or Nancy Pelosi, which you might accidentally get war criminal goo on you just from doing that. But what possesses you to say, anyways. So this guy says, I have $1 million worth of stolen colonizer artifacts from Africa. Isn't it cool? And She-Hulk's like, ugh, I'm not okay with that. Ugh, fucking gross, man. So number one, that's not cool. Like, don't do that. That's your pro tip. Like, don't go around acting like a colonizer capitalist piece of crap. Average woman nowadays is not going to be down with that. I'm just saying. Unless you're dating on 33 and Jesus Loves Me or some shit, right? Even there, I don't know if they're going to be into that. Unless you're dating on Lockheed Martin singles.com or some shit, I don't know where that's going to be a good place to say that. But anyway, this dude says that, and not only that, but then he also goes oh yeah, and he says a bunch of other really creepy shit, a bunch of other really creepy things. I don't remember exactly what he says, but she's like, okay, I'm out. He touches her hand and goes it's okay, baby. I know that we had a hard time, but I'm ready to go right now, some shit. And she's like, oh my God. And she just she leaves him like he's a radioactive pile of steaming dog shit. It's I'm fucking out of here, right? So everything that this particular dude does, do not do that. Never try to, steal someone else's superpowers, and not just that, but everything about this dude that he does is just stuff that not good. It's not good. It's not just not good. Some of it's just outright illegal, criminal, and just morally reprehensible. So don't do anything that this guy fucking does, including buy $1 million worth of artifacts from Africa stolen by Euro colonizers. Never do that. And so, but let me get back on track. So, I was on the Daredevil. That's right. So Daredevil's character, so what he does is he has. My point was that guy. What is he doing with his life, right? What is shithead doing with his life, right? Rather, other than sitting on piles of money, being a misogynist, smug guy, starting men's rights activists, Gamergate, men going their own way, groups like Elon Musk, right? Taking the red pill, right? The toxic, sexist, anti-feminist red pill. What does this guy do with his life, right? Collect artifacts? What is his goal? Try to be mad at women? That's basically most of his life, right? He doesn't really have a purpose. He's not. What are you doing outside of thinking of your own self and your own ego and your own selfish desires, right? And how cool you think you're gonna look, right? Which you don't look very cool. Thinking you're gonna look cool is actually not. That's one of the tricks. Thinking that you are super cool and you're and caring about so much is one of those fucked up things where it's like thinking about and caring about so much about how cool you're going to look is not cool, because then that's kind of a dick selfish thing, which is not cool. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes sense. That's a very tongue twisty backwards way to say a thing. And but it's like he is very obsessed with like trying to impress women with artifacts, fun facts about himself, his money, and like that's off-putting actually. That's like not a good thing, and so that, which is there again, I kind of said like not like being poor is not cool. It's like it's not necessarily gonna attract women to be poor. It's not really about being poor. It's about like what are you, like how do you view yourself in the world on top of your way that you are treating women and other people, right? But it kind of goes together, right? So the way that so coming back to Daredevil is like I spend most of my time and my free time trying to help the people of Hell's Kitchen who have difficulty helping themselves. And sometimes, and I think he says, I like one of these lines, because this is the part where I'm like, I'm not too big on like, all the fights for injustice will all happen in courtrooms, because the answer is, you will never win. Certainly Hawaii will not be decolonized in a courtroom, because the United States, criminal system continues to sanction all of its crimes against Native Hawaiians to this day. So, you're not going to defeat the U.S. military-industrial complex and the U.S. military dumping jet fuel in our water in the courtroom. It's not, some things might end up in court, but that's not where we actually make the wins. It's actually the mass collective people power and the mass movements that will make it or break it in the end. And so Daredevil also is like, some things we can't win in courtrooms. And so when I try to defend the people, like there's women that there's the old lady having her house taken by the kingpin, right? Trying to buy everything up and gentrify it, and putting people out on the street. So in the courtroom, Daredevil tries to fight as a altruistic lawyer for making not very much money, and then outside of the courtroom, he's also fighting sometimes with punching and kicking and spin kicking and backflips and shit as Daredevil in a TV show that I can't remember. Is it on Netflix? So but he's doing that to try to help the people as best as he can manage. And so I'm not saying that's not why She-Hulk and Jen Walters have sex with him, but like he's got something going on other than just like I want to have sex with women. That's like really not high on his priority list. I mean, not that he doesn't also do that, and like he's happy to have sex when it's a thing that he's into it also, because She-Hulk and they're both like, okay, we're gonna have sex. They mutually choose to benefit from this romantic / sexual relationship. He's not just like, I gotta have sex. I gotta fucking, oh, I can't have sex. Now I'm gonna get mad. And he does, you see, like, the other dudes are dedicating much of their life to trying to figure out how to trick women into having sex with them. And that's like not a good thing to be doing with your life. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to have some kind of other purpose. And also not just like complete aimless, I'm making money and then getting cool shit to impress people and self-aggrandize. You know, it's actually not that attractive. You know, like having some self-respect, having some kind of like work ethic, and you know, not treating yourself like shit is not very attractive. Oh, the world hates me, and I'm just, oh, nothing's good and everything's bad and I'm just a terrible person. Women's like, I got enough work handling myself. I don't want to fucking have to spend, you know, thousands of hours of emotional labor to fucking pick your ass off the ground. I'm gonna go find somebody that's maybe like, you know, a little more together actually. So women go through the extra work of helping some guy who's a very sad boy, because there's so few fucking prospects for dudes. That's why part of the symptom is that you're like, oh, I'm gonna go do, you know, 200 hours of emotional labor with this sad fucking sack for free, because well, the other ones are just you know, fucking drunk ass men's right activists, fucking Nazis, or I don't know, or just some toxic or bad dude. But that's like, but you know, it's also like, well, women, well, maybe I just won't date a man then. I'll just date a non-man, or I'll date a queer, you know, non-binary person, or I'll date another woman, and that's, you know, that's the case. But anyways, so the fact that he's like, Daredevil is like complete as a human being in and of himself. He like does his job as a lawyer, and then he also does extra work to help people in the world that, you know, that need it. And that's kind of what he's trying to tell She-Hulk, is like, you know, you can fight in the court, but there's some things like, when the rich own the government and the justice system, there's a lot of fights that can't happen in the courtroom, you know? So that's where Daredevil's like, that's where I go fight outside. And so he's trying to tell She-Hulk, that's what she doesn't want to hear. You know, maybe you should consider fighting, use your She-Hulk abilities for good, like you use your courtroom abilities for good. Or even you use your courtroom abilities. I mean, you know, I forget, you know, at least what Jenna is using her courtroom abilities and her law degree for what she believes is justice, right? It doesn't go too much into that kind of stuff, but you can also use, you know, because some things, you know, I forget, there's a line, there's like, you know, I fight outside the court for all the fights that I can't win in the court, something like that. And so like he's trying to get her to do that. She's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't really want to do that. And but that's something that's already magnetic, because it's like, you know, it's very different from most of the other dudes around, you know, with the exception of Bruce Banner, right? But Bruce is her, you know, that's her cousin, and you know, she wasn't really ready for that. She was like, I just want to try to be, I just want to be a lawyer. I just want to be a lawyer. I don't want to go fight, you know, I don't want to be no superhero, right? But it's kind of like, it's finally like, you know, it's like, you know, having sex with Daredevil brings her around. No, it's not really how it works. But it's like you know, it's the character arc from the very beginning, right, to the present, and it also helps that, you know, she has been a lawyer and also been She-Hulk for the last, you know, many episodes. So she's in a different place. Jen Walters is in a different place by the end of season 1 of She-Hulk, when Daredevil's like, hey, maybe you should consider that hero thing, right? And Hulk does show up at the very end. And anyways, so anyway, so I think that's a factor. Back to the dating thing, that is a factor in why and how, you know, She-Hulk ends up in the most sex that ever happens is with Daredevil. So you should really pay close attention to that. And I'm not saying that if you get a red horns and a mask and learn kung fu, that doesn't mean you're going to get a date either. That's full disclaimer. That's not going to, do not come back when you get smashed in a bad way in the face, with stabbed in the eye with a woman's heel, because you thought that, you know, dressing up as Daredevil is going to get you laid. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. Anyways, so, but you know, there's many of these things that are what are positive, that can be beneficial. And the things that are lessons that could be learned by people if they had their ears open and were paying attention when they were watching She-Hulk, and not just getting mad and screaming about no more women in superhero movies. She-Hulk like successfully lampoons and criticizes and satirizes all of those haters of the She-Hulk show, right? With especially with this guy. but not just this guy. There's many other guys out there, and there's many other messages, and it really does. It talks about all the culture that is into hating She-Hulk is the same culture of the same groups and types of dudes that were the ones and are still the ones, unfortunately, out hating the She-Hulk show and trying to get IMDb to downrank it by mass brigading review sites for She-Hulk, trying to get it canceled and shit. Those are the dudes that paradoxically and ironically stand to learn the most from the She-Hulk show if they were paying attention. Sadly, I think a lot of them are not going to listen. They're not they're not. So that's why I'm like, well, I'm like pretty dude presenting, so maybe I'll say some of this and maybe they'll hear it. Because it's really about them, in a lot of ways. So, and the last one I didn't really touch on. It's already 1:37, so I should get off soon. But the last one I'll touch on is there's I don't want to give away the plot, but there's this other dude. This is another dude who so there's Mr. Dude who he's like Mr. I like, he's like a good dude, but I am into She-Hulk specifically, right? So watch that dude. Try to learn, pick up some tips from that. And there's the other dude that's like, I'm really more into Jen. I'm not really into the She-Hulk. I'm just like, I'm here for Jen. And I'm not gonna say model yourself on that guy because, well, it's just stuff happens. But at least when he's at the wedding, Jen continues to pursue that relationship because he's treating her as a full equal person. At least in that time. And so there are at least one, right? So you have Daredevil. I'm specifically into She-Hulk man, wedding date person. There's at least 3 dudes that are like, and they're all you can tell because they're all the ones that there's some at least attempt. There's at least there's some. I think everybody they all get laid. Let's say that they all have sex. Not that that's a good reason to. That's the only reason that you should be doing these things. But there are people that Jen / She-Hulk actively pursues beyond just a little date and then okay, I'm out of here. So there's at least 3. Anyway, so I shouldn't go into any more than that. Otherwise, I might get in trouble for. I might say something I don't want to say about that. So it is now 1:40. So I think that's mostly what I wanted to say. I think I've covered all the territory I wanted to cover. And so in conclusion, because this is a courtroom drama, this is a courtroom comedy, a legal comedy. Is that what it is? If you would like to get the smashed, and I don't mean if you want to get smashed, if you want to get fucked up and beaten up, then be a shithead like some of the other dudes. Because now is the time when those kind of dudes are gonna get fucked up. The U.S. and NATO, the patriarchal capitalists, imperialist places, they're not looking so strong nowadays. They're not doing too good. 20,000 Intel. The U.S. is like, this is kind of off topic, but 20,000 Intel employees were just let go the day after the U.S. is like, we're going to hurt China by sanctioning them. It's like, oh God, how's it working out for you, buddy? So it's it's like both in international at the highest levels of international power struggles. Being just a shitty, abusive advantage taker, is a way to get badly smashed in the bad way. You're going to lose, right? So don't do that. And also like in the dating pool, that's not going to work out too good. I mean, maybe dating in the 50s was like, oh, look at her. She's really pretty. I'm just going to be a real weird creep. But it wasn't even, it's not thought about that way. You guess we do whatever you want. You ask a girl out, the girl got to say yes. Because, I mean, it's patriarchy. And, like, if you don't say yes, well, what if another guy don't ask you? You could be destitute, homeless, spinster, nobody, right? In the halfway. You could be in a halfway, or what is it called? The boarding house with no children, with no prospects. You just be like a lost woman, in poverty. And so the dating in the 50s, it was the people who could do this, the people doing the smashing, or people doing the abusing their power and privilege were disproportionately the men. But now it's like you're gonna be lonely. You're not necessarily gonna get beat up, but you're not gonna be in a relationship. You're gonna be cut out. You're not gonna be, romantically, sexually, or otherwise fulfilled. And Silver Spook, I'm not even gonna be your friend. That's the other thing I want to say. In She-Hulk, there's that one guy. Actually, this is a very actually good one. There is a dude who is asked to infiltrate a anti-She-Hulk men's only group who are trying to get rid of She-Hulk because she represents women and feminism that is a cancer destroying the world, right? It's like it's so like so good because like it correctly like identifies these people. Look at Mr. Fedora Man over there behind him. And She-Hulk females, am I right? There's at least one other dude where there's this dude. Where is it? It's like, yeah, females, am I right? There's this dude who's like, I mean, he's not like a shitty dude like all those other dudes in that way, but he's like a friend of Jen and their friend at the law firm, and he's asked to infiltrate that group. And with a push from Nikki, Pug, that's his name. So Pug enters the room. Pug isn't so sure about this plan, but Nikki is on top of it. She puts on a headphone in his ear, and she's going out. She's going to be there talking to him all night. Also, it's important that Pug blends in to this intelligentsia, right? Men's rights activist group, and should refer to all the women as females. Pug. So, and then in the room, all the bros complain about how there's a She-Hulk and a Lady Thor. Come on, and they also say like She-Hulk didn't even earn her superpowers. All the stuff we're talking about, all these misogynist narratives. And then the dude is like, and so Pug, right, who is their friend, he's like doesn't want to be there. He's like, females, am I right? And then Todd's like, yeah, and all the dudes just jump in. Yeah, man, that's what we're all here for. We're all here to hate on women. And so yeah, that's the guy's name, Pug. And so, but the important thing is like, the way that Pug, in She-Hulk. Let's see if I can find that guy. Augustus Pug. Yeah, this guy. Yeah. And so then, and then Pug, when he's in that room, let me see if I can find his face. Yeah, he has to get in that room with all the dudes. I don't think I'm gonna get. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. This one. So Pug is in this room with all of the men's rights activists, right? Women bad. She-Hulk has to be taken down. We got to get rid of Lady Thor. No more. No. He says it's not that we want women gone. We just want the best person for the job to be hired. And Jen Walters is not the best person for her job. She-Hulk is not the best person for the superhero job. Like all the points, all the I don't know, but he made a lot of good points. All the points, right, of these crypto Nazi people from 2014 U.S. back coup internet sort of people. These people are all around Pug, and Pug's like, I'm not really into this whole hating on women stuff. But he has to be there to kind of infiltrate the group. And so the way his face that he's like, he's like, females, am I right? But he doesn't want to say that because he's like not a sexist piece of shit. But the faces that he makes, that's the faces that I make when I'm in a lot of circles with dudes nowadays. Because I'm like, I don't really want to be in this room with all of you being sexist, shitty pieces of crap. Actually, I don't feel comfortable here. Kind of want to leave. I feel like I don't want to add to this fire, and if I say something, it's got to be shitty. Otherwise, you all are gonna get all fucked up about it. So yeah. Anyway, and that's like, so Pug is like how a lot of the dudes that are not shitty today, which again, it's not, unfortunately there's a decreasing amount of them, unfortunately, although hopefully that will change. That's part of why I do this stream. So I want more dudes to be less shitty so that I have people that I can be around. Also I want people that I can be around, and I want people that can work on Neofeud that are not worthless because on my games. Part of the reason why I don't work with other people on a lot of the games is because a lot of the people who want to work on them are nerd dudes. Of course, they're nerd dudes because they're people who play video games. But these dudes are like, oh, I can't work on your thing because I'm depressed, or oh yeah, fucking women, am I right? And I'm like, I don't want to work on your misogynist bullshit. I don't want to work with you if you're gonna like not be able to be reliable because you know, I don't want to work. You know, you see what I'm saying? It's like it's bad for women. It's bad for, you know, toxic masculinity and this kind of culture is bad for women and their dating pool. It's bad for Silver Spook. It's bad for all dudes who want to have friends that are other dudes. The shitty dudes are bad for the not shitty dudes who want to have friends that are also not shitty dudes. You see what I'm saying? It actually hurts everybody. It actually hurts, and it hurts the shitty dudes themselves who gonna die sad, alone, and horny, and with blue balls. It hurts literally everybody, and also hurts Silver Spook Games because then I can't work with people because so many of them are fucking untrustworthy, lazy, you know, little infantile, spoiled man children, and or are just like toxic and bigoted and misogynist, and I don't want to work with any of those people, and I can't because otherwise the games don't get fucking done properly. So, that's my face. So that's the other thing I want to say. That's pug face. That's a lot, and a lot of that, I'm not the only one. There's lots of people that I think feel the same way, you know. So I'm speaking for all of these people when I say this. Anyways, but now we'll be done because it's almost 2. You know, so quick PSA. Don't forget, if you thought all that was interesting, don't forget Neofeud is a game that I created that is a cyberpunk, a anti-capitalist, anti-racist, anti-imperialist cyberpunk game. And I talked a little bit of Hawaii, but I am a native Hawaiian who made this game. Like Daredevil, while working in the ghetto, trying to help homeless and you know, and poverty-stricken children. And so Neofeud is a game that is definitely about it's a cyberpunk satirical comedy, but it also is a game that is a personal game from my perspective. And if you like cyberpunk games, adventure games, somebody said it's like if Terry Gilliam made the best adventure game in 1994. Fair, probably pretty accurate. And so check out this game, and I'm going to play the trailer one more time, and then we'll be finished.
The Illuminati created us. They wanted to build a god with their own hands, and instead they created us.
Just because I'm made of silicone and aluminium, I must be doing something wrong. That's machine stereotyping, that is.
That's reality, that is. Machines are second-class citizens.
Humans are sentient persons by default, ma'am. They have personhood by heredity.
There are thousands upon thousands of overqualified slum dwellers. You are my peon. Don't you get it?
This wasn't a job. It was always just an excommunication sentence.
We're pawns in a feud bigger than we can imagine. Turn the cogs of the machine before Leviathan grinds you up and swallows you and yours.
We don't get to choose our hand, comrade. Prince, peon, rich, poor, human, robot.
I invented the crux of the royal's power, the secret to consciousness, our existence itself, the meaning of life.
I'm the $6 billion baller, not some troubled youth.
You are my greatest creation of all.
I had to build my own family. I ain't your son. I ain't your son.
I'm happy to smash all of the crowns and throw the gold shards down to the people. I will be the iconoclast queen.
But who makes you queen anyway? You? You in whose army, princess? You in whose army?
So anyways, so that should be it. Don't forget, you can find Neofeud on Steam and on itch.io. If you have a second to leave even a very short review, it is hugely appreciated because it does help to get this game recognized. It is also on sale right now, so if you want to get games on sale, this is the perfect time to do it. And yeah, it's a game that is also available on itch.io as well as a variety of other ones. And on itch, you can give us the maximum revenue. We're 67% of the goal of $200 for this particular sale. So consider helping us out to reach that goal for Neofeud. As well, on itch.io, you can get it for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Also, you can check out things like Digistar, which is a game about the speaking of empires invading. An empire arrives on your planet, eradicates and plunders, or tries to heal the land and the people, prevent erasure of your native language and culture, confront the invaders before it is too late. So this is a game specifically from a kind of indigenous perspective. That's why it's called Digistar. As a native Hawaiian, which I didn't really talk about much on, but I am one. That's a game. That's a science fictional game from an indigenous perspective. Is another way to put it. Also, you can check out things like Decolonators, where you kick capitalist colonizers' butts out of Vietnam. So this is like the really extreme version of kicking assholes to the curb. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of She-Hulk, kicking all these crappy. This is like the really, really hard left swipe. Is left swipe the one where you disregard? You don't want none of that. This is like the really hardcore left swipe. Was called the Decolonators. Anyways, and then you have Woman is also a book by Holly, my partner, who was raised in right-wing evangelical Protestant Christianity, and it is a book that is a retelling of the Bible from the perspective of Mary, and a kind of critique of that sort of culture. Also, don't forget that you can support us at patreon.com/Neofeud. Consider how much are the streams worth to you? Do you value it? Are they interesting? Are they educational? And if so, consider supporting us. Both you can do a one-time support through Ko-Fi. It really helps a lot. And at patreon.com/Neofeud, you can give us ongoing support, get access to the SilverSpook Discord, and get access to behind the scenes on what we're working on, and join the SilverSpook community. It really does help us out so much, and we really do appreciate all of the supporters. You can follow us again at Octodon, at SilverSpook Games at Octodon.social, at SilverSpook Games at Mastodon.social. For the you can get both of those. You can follow one or both of those accounts, and you can also follow on Twitter at SilverSpook Guy. For my personal account, SilverSpook Games, minus E and Silver for the games related stuff. On Instagram, SilverSpook, Facebook, SilverSpook Games, and you can also follow Holly at Mod, who is a Mod VA and partner here at SilverSpook for SilverSpook Games. Again, as I said, Holly is the equal partner both in the games and the work, as in the work of the SilverSpook Cooperative, as well as in the raising of children and having of children, which is the thing we do, and also is a producer, writer, and moderator for Xanatek or Kate Nix, the haunted hostess of the Lounge, which is a show that I am also currently working on a game for, Pigeon with Gun, like I said earlier. And if you're into music and weird nerds, it's like watching a Netflix original series, but like indie. That's what the show is a lot like. Especially this season has been very much like that. Even with previously on the Lounge, like I actually have a previously on in the last episode. Anyways, so if you want to check that out, that is on Twitch at 8:00 on Tuesday. And also, follow Holly. And also, Holly is also writer, educator, parent of 2 Keiki, primary caregiver, as well as administrator here at the SilverSpook Cooperative, and tweeting important things like that. And you can also follow Terminus Cyberstar. Terminus C is a cyberpunk Deus Ex System Shock-like game that I am the content director and lead writer on. You see, this is another thing. See, I work with the people from Terminus Cyberstar because, the guy who runs Terminus Cyberstar, the producer on it, is somebody that, I can trust that this guy is, he's he knows what he's doing, he's above board about stuff, and, so that's somebody I'm working with. I'm working with him in a specific way. But I don't work with too many other people. And so, but Terminus Cyberstar, I was speaking to what I was talking to earlier. Terminus Cyberstar is a Deus Ex System Shock Cyberpunk 2077 sort of game, but it's not a AAA game. It's but it's a game with about a team of about 5 to 6 people, and it is coming soon. So if that's interesting. I'm the lead writer on this game, so if you like the stuff that I make, this game is up that alley. So consider following it on Twitter at Terminus C. You can join the Discord to have additional updates and behind the scenes stuff on that. And we'd like to thank all of our supporters here on Patreon, our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your continued support. And our new Patreon patrons, thanks very much. Thanks a lot, Big Teal. Good to see you. Always good to see our friends, Big Teal and Emma and everyone else. And, of course, Holly for moderating. The sticky topic of romantic relationships in the larger social context from a decolonial perspective. Indeed, it is. I know it's a touchy subject for a lot of people, but it's like you can't, if you don't decolonize romantic relationships, and even sex, really, you're not really gonna ever decolonize fully. Like literally decolonize sex. I mean, I'm just looking. You literally have. You go from, like, I think it's 30% or less of women have orgasm under the U.S. capitalist country. Over 70% in a communist Soviet Union. I mean, it's like the difference is marked. So, and I think that not to say that that's just one indicator. That's just one indicator, but it is important that we decolonize all these things. And She-Hulk is a good show. I've talked about the show 3 times already, so it's if I've talked about the She-Hulk 3 times, it's worth checking out. And you know me, I'm not the biggest fucking Marvel stan, so even more so. Anyways, thanks for all the thank you so much, Patreon patrons. And hey, what's up, Strin? Good to see you as well. We will be back in the evening for more hanging out and fun stuff. So have a good one, and smash the bad guys in the bad way and smash the good guys in the good way.